Hey, how's it going?
Blaine! If I would have known you guys are coming, I'd have swept up. Come on in.
I'm just gonna say, fuck your couch. We'll sit right down.
And today on the Couch, we have Blaine Cook and Alex Sebald from the Accused AD, plus more, toe tag, grunt truck, maggot brains, you name it. All right, let's start with you, Alex. How are you doing today?
Excellent. It's a nice day. I got the day off.
That's good. Well, you don't have the day off because you're in here filming.
I got the distinct privilege of driving out here.
Yeah, long drive.
I'm a local boy. I like the terrain.
Good. Me too. Now, there's many musicians that focus on one instrument: guitar, bass, drums, singing.
Most do.
You are a two-instrument star. You perform bass and guitar. You've done it for many bands. It's always awesome. I often see you playing one or the other, and more often I see you playing both in a show. You're aficionado at both. I'm curious. I'm guessing you play lots of other instruments?
Nope.
Just those two?
Yeah. Those are time vacuums enough. I didn't click necessarily with anything else. I've touched the piano. I've sat behind a drum kit a million times. I don't get it. I can't disassociate each limb to it. I'm fascinated by guys that are good. Absolutely.
How long have you been a songwriter?
40 years.
40 years.
40 odd years.
Yes.
God, you think I'd write some good songs, wouldn't you?
Oh, you write some great songs.
We'll see if it happens.
Okay, and
Barely I don't write any songs.
Yeah. I'm going to touch on, besides the Accused and the Accused AD, you're also in a band called Grunt Truck, which I'm going to touch more on later. But you actually have a release coming out next month.
I've heard there's something in the works about that, some old stuff, some stuff that we recorded that I wasn't in that band for very long, but we actually recorded a number of times, and only got just a couple things got used out of it. It's not necessarily, or maybe it was that they sucked, but it was more like it was a weird, like a timing in what was going on type thing, and then it fell into the shitter, so then start finding old stuff like that.
And it's my understanding it's a reissue of lots of stuff. And
yes.
My understanding it's online though, is that correct?
I think so. I was just talking to Jack about that. He was talking about he got in and cleaned a bunch of stuff up.
When you say Jack, is that the great Jack Andino?
Great Jack Andino. We've worked with him more than anybody in any fucking thing I've ever done. He's got his fingerprints on almost everything I've ever done. I was in a band with a couple of guys from the Pleasure Elite called Plot Sickens, and we recorded. But
great man, I actually have that downstairs.
Yeah, it was okay. That was fun. Rob moved to where? Thailand. Yeah, he moved to Thailand for a couple of years, and now he's in Southern California. Brian's still around town. I think he's playing with Piston Ready. Johnny, the bass player, I don't know who he's playing with. He moved to Portland. Larissa's a tattoo artist now. She's an incredible artist. Her tattoo work is just the shit. You have one of her tattoos?
I do.
I saw that. Like the first one she did, it's like, I've seen people tattoo for fucking years that can't tattoo that.
I don't know which one it is. I'll figure that out later, but Larissa did a piece on my back.
Let's see it. Why would you never write "cum dumpster" on your back? She's great. She's a
fantastic bartender too.
Yes, she'd throw the booze. But just briefly, I was going to say it used to be back in the day that if you were a tattoo artist, you weren't necessarily an artist. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you have to be both.
Well, you do now, for sure. But I'm saying she was an artist first. Like I knew some guys back in the day that they weren't necessarily artists, but they would tattoo. It's different.
The best tattoo artists are very skilled artists.
Yes.
And they've also been tattooing for, I generally like to find someone who's been tattooing a very long time, but
as long as
some of them can hit it naturally, but it's a very good skill.
Just make sure those old guys have their glasses.
All right. So we have a gentleman in the house named the Wizard. This is from 1984, the Subway magazine, a magazine I actually used to edit. I was the editor and the producer. Anyway, I wanted to see if we can have you read something here.
I can read.
So this is the best of the Northwest, and please
Best vocal. He acts like he can read. He can't even call out all of his letters. But he tries. He does this. You'd think he would for being a former school teacher. Best vocalist. Number 1, Blaine the Accused.
Yeah!
Number 2,
And ladies and gentlemen, Blaine Cook the Wizard.
what year was this? 84, you said?
1984.
Yes.
So before we get to the music, you have a hamburger restaurant, a chain. Well, it's sort of a chain.
Just one.
Just one now.
One.
Zippy's Burgers.
Zippy's Giant Burgers.
The best burger in the state of Washington, hands down. I know from experience.
Voted so.
Oh yeah, who was that? The Weekly or
A couple of places. I
the
remember
Weekly and
Brian's
the
getting
Stranger?
Mad press. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I completely agree. So
I mean, we didn't invent the hamburger, but we were kind of one of the first places because hamburgers fell out of fashion.
I thought that's why you're the wizard, because you invented the hamburger.
I don't think we invented anything. No, hamburgers fell out of fashion for a while, and then we were kind of on the, not the first, but we were on that next
Custom coming in. Yeah.
custom. I mean, now there's tons, and we live in a world where people don't respect what the old established. They like what's new and shiny.
And
for about 12 or 16 months, then we need to move on to something that helps us keep it shiny. Yeah.
I'm not going to call it old, but your hamburger restaurant is retro with handmade shakes, and you're a soda snob like me. You have some of the best sodas.
Yeah.
And in fact, I discovered one of my favorite sodas ever at your restaurant, and that was the Lemmy's Lemonade.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And if I had not tried it at your shop, I would have never known of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I understand you also tried to buy your meats and everything locally.
When we first started, that was the plan. I tried to get Vietnamese bakery, to bake our hamburger buns. I tried the Beecher's cheese, to get around for 13 years. So that's kind of like when Beecher's cheese first started. And I went around to, whatever that butcher was up there in White Center. White Center Butcher, went up and, tried to get the meat from him. And, I tried to do that. It's a little bit more difficult now, and unfortunately, the business model is not able to sustain a lot of the stuff that we did when we first opened.
So yeah, that's my question.
You don't pay 10 people. When we opened, people were paying $10 an hour, and that was actually considered,
Good pay.
good pay then. Now
10 tips.
Yeah, 10 in tips. Now
15 required around here, I think.
we were doing 15 before.
Before all that.
Before you had to do 15. No, we pay everybody 17.
No, you have a very good rep amongst
The start. That's what you do, and we'll have to what to now, because I know that Taco Bell is now offering up to $18 for get Taco Time, because what happened with the shutdown,
Right.
We were actually, I just got back. I wasn't on vacation. My wife and I just celebrated our 27th wedding anniversary. So we went for some travels, which are different for us than a vacation. Vacation's more you're able to, lounge around. But, we ate at a bunch of restaurants. We did Nashville, Memphis, and New Orleans. And you could, definitely tell
the pandemic.
The staffing of the restaurants was such that people didn't come back, and then also the restaurants, when all this shit happened, they were all had moved to delivery and takeout. So a lot of the business, you'd watch our food taking so long to come out because their business model for the past year has been delivery and takeout, and that's what they have to when you're on these delivery platforms.
And that was actually one of my questions. Was how did Zippy's do for the pandemic? And I did eat at Zippy's twice during the pandemic so far, and I must admit, I love the atmosphere with all the retro burger stuff on the wall and the retro pinball machines, and I do like, I don't like regular soda, Coke 7-Up, but I love specialty sodas, and I usually would have 2 or 3 while I was sitting there, which is very rare for me. But
No, we did all right. I mean,
I ate there all the time.
Yeah, Alex eats there all the time. We've been around long enough that we're not. We're a mom and pop business. We're not like a business where where you expect every year that you're going to
Billions of pop.
You're going to go. That your business is going to incrementally increase every year. We can't say that. I mean, we're pretty flat. As far as what the sales are. I mean, it would be great if we were able to increase 10 or 18%. To kind of keep up with the cost of operating a business, and there's a lot more to operating a business than most people think or even have a clue. And I know when we first opened, there was a lot of people that were jealous of Zippy's because I was selling so fucking many burgers.
you were, yeah.
I didn't make any money for quite a number of years. So I gave all the money to the staff. I don't think I started making hourly wage until like 2 years in, and then we had problems, with our landlord shit. So then I stopped.
Yes, so the original Zippy's location, I used to go there quite a bit because I used to be in White Center in West Seattle more often. And you would go, there'd be a line, 15, 16 deep.
And they'd sell out.
Yeah, we'd
They'd
sell out.
and they have to shut them.
Yeah. Well, these guys all helped. I mean, everybody that all of my.
Oh, yeah, it's a punk rock staff. And a very, very good one.
I firmly believe in just about everything that I do. I believe in the collective we. And Alex,
Most of his friends are the trades.
Alex helped put the restaurant together. Steve McVeigh, our old friend
Chris
Godey, Carl Fowler. I mean, everybody that I know has had, even before we opened the restaurant, when we were testing out recipes and stuff. Everybody came over and we were making burgers, and
That was a terrible, terrible time.
but.
Now, most of our viewers are outside Seattle, so that they can't try your burgers.
Unless they come and visit.
Right, but they can see, you were on a couple, one was a Japanese show, I believe.
We were on a Japanese show, and then much to everybody's dismay, we were on Food Network.
Yeah, well, it's a great episode.
Mystery Diners. No, we were a little over a month after we were open. We were contacted by the Food Network to be on that Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives, and because we were getting so much, that's kind of like when the whole social media thing. That's when it was all starting. So we were getting a whole lot of stroke, and they didn't realize we'd only been open for a month, and. I talked to them a number of times, and the reason they didn't come out and do anything at our restaurant, even though at that point in time we were like probably one of the very, very few restaurants in the whole United States that ground our beef fresh every fucking day. We used frozen French fries, and that's why they didn't come out. And people have there's a romantic notion that a hand-cut fry is delicious, and that's really not the case.
Really? Okay, good to know. No, your fries are delicious. So
but I mean, Dick's fries are Dick's fries. If you think that they're good, I mean, to do a proper hand cut fry, I mean, there's a lot of work involved. And not very many places do a proper. You gotta soak it in the water, get the starches out, then you gotta blanch it in the lower temperature oil, and then you gotta let them rest, and you gotta finish them off with the higher oil, and most places just don't do that because it's too fucking much work for 15 cents a pound potato.
So now for the viewers out of state,
Yes.
do you know what episode, or can you tell them how to Google the Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives?
It's not Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. We were on the show Mystery Diners.
Mystery Diner, yes.
Where they have our restaurant's fucked and we've got something bad going on.
And you had a little trouble with your mascot.
With our mascot,
But let's not give away the show.
Right. Well, it's called Mascot Mayhem. That's the name of the episode. Sometimes it's on YouTube. Not all the time. But what's interesting thing about that show is it's it gets what do they call that when they play it other places?
Syndicated?
It gets syndicated. So it's syndicated all over the world. So I've gotten a lot of correspondence from people in Australia that have watched it, and in the UK.
That's what I'm saying. If you're not in Washington State, even if you are in Washington, but if you want to get an idea of this retro hamburger place and enjoy this, it's the best episode of the show I've ever seen.
Right,
So.
but then people believe that shit. They think that stuff is real. And when that stuff came out, I mean, we got like this, string of Yelp reviews, 1-star Yelp reviews. It's like about how I was such a bad person. How can I treat my people like this? It's like, it's so fucking stupid. Do you really fucking believe that this is for real? People that watch that stuff on TV. I mean,
You mean that's not real, Wayne?
I mean, here you've got these cameras and stuff here. A deal like that, I mean, they're there 2 days in advance.
Yeah.
They're pulling up in trucks, and they had to rent one of the units, in our complex there, and it's a big fucking deal. And if anybody thinks that shit isn't staged, I mean, it's just like
No, I was on Shark Tank, and they, like you said, they come in 2-3 days in advance, and all they did, they wanted me to brush my teeth because it was a business out of a home, and I must have brushed my teeth 60 times for a home.
yeah.
So yeah, it's so now that stuff's all scripted, but you're also partially scripted. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I have an NDA, so I can only disclose so much.
Right.
They might still come back. I mean, it's not. You're being coached.
Which is actually a good thing because TV should be entertaining.
Right, but it's like, you watch the shows with the collectibles, somebody shows up in your basement. Oh my God, Dave Portnow, how did you end up having, this, $100,000 toy, that's just been sitting down here in your basement, it's like, this, I mean,
it's been protected and collected. And,
yeah.
Okay, so you have an unscripted show. The Swizzle or
the Wicker Bar.
The Wicker Bar.
I make some cocktails.
Now I'm assuming you've had many of these.
Alex has not had any cocktails.
I've had none of his cocktails.
So good. Well, you and I are.
Well, I've had a cocktail from Wayne once or twice before.
Yeah.
But not. I've participated in.
Yes, and I've been invited into the show.
I would practice. I see him all the time. So I mean, I dig it absolutely, but we're not in like a social deficit.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
We've never stopped. We've been doing. We've been doing.
Which, according to the record, we've never stopped practicing through all of this.
Yeah. So I mean, we did toe tag for 14 years. So.
Well, I'm amazed the amount of. Here, just this is maybe 1/4 of what these guys have put out.
Well, that's what we do. I mean, that's there's a lot,
and you guys enjoy it. You don't do it for money, and
lots.
which I never have. I don't either. If you make money, it's great. But if you can enjoy it, once you accept that this isn't about the money and I'm going to enjoy it, it's a fun and fantastic thing. It's also a shitload of work.
Once you accept that there's no money,
yes,
you kind of glazed over that part, and that's a very important part. And a lot of people have that whether they will acknowledge it as such or whatever.
And then it gets to what's we talk about this all the time. It's like, what is making money? Sure, we've done some things. I mean, we had the opportunity a couple of years back. We played with Lamb of God. And
yes,
and we got paid $1,200, but all the band, we had to drive down there. We had to stay in a hotel. So it's three hotel rooms. We brought somebody down to video it.
We like to eat and drink.
We had to pay him. He had to have a hotel room. We had to pay for his gas. So it's like, on the face value, so, they're selling shirts. It's like, but when it all boils, what is it? There's...
Well, and you guys, now it might have been different at Lamb of God because I know the arenas and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you guys do a normal show, what do you charge for a shirt? You guys aren't charging $40 a shirt.
Well, $10.
Okay, yeah.
$10-15.
Yeah, I went to Iron Maiden and wanted $50 to $60 a shirt. Yeah, I wanted a shirt, but it's just I'll get a Gucci shirt for that price.
Right. Well, then also at that level, I mean, where you're playing, they're taking a cut.
20% usually. Most people don't understand that, and they set the price.
And taxes. We luckily at that Lamb of God thing, we didn't get counted in. We're counted out. So however many shirts we sold. But we drove all the way to to the East Coast to play the Maryland Death Fest, and we got well, actually we drank all of Cryptic Slaughter / Low Lives beer, and we got some food tickets.
Last time I saw Cryptic Slaughter was in Cancun, Mexico. I was on vacation, and to my shock, they were playing there. It blew my mind. I'm like, what great timing.
Yeah, I just did a thing with Brad, Merciful Fate cover with Brad and Death Cave and some other dudes.
Which cover?
We did Come to the Sabbath and
what a great song!
Come to the Sabbath and dun, 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 to the altar. I can't think of the name of it. I could probably play it. Try to play it for you, or hum it to you. I can't think of the name of it.
Well,
Because you're asking me, and now it's like sealed up shut.
So when I was about 12, I had the Merciful Fate records. Actually, had to hide them from my mom because she had a problem with even my Iron Maiden records.
Definitely.
But on the back of the records, he put his phone number. And my friends and I, we used to call, he meaning King Diamond, we used to call him with the phone number. No, he was in Denmark. And obviously, we couldn't afford to call him.
Neither could you. Wait,
Yeah.
there's 17 calls to Denmark at 1 a.m.
But someone the two of you know very well. And so at that young age, I already started doing a lot of stuff in the music industry. And Pig Records is named after Tom Pig from Poison Idea. And in those early days, Tom Pig would provide us calling card numbers. And that's how we booked tours.
And you meet up with bands and you all like, do you have a good one?
Yeah, exactly.
Then you get home and they call you and say, we got a lot of calls to this number from this card.
And most people don't understand the old days of punk. So the Europeans did this first, and I figured out they'd say, send me my stamps back.
Yeah.
So I'd ask them, why do you want your stamps back? And they're like, we put soap on them and we wipe them off. So I started doing that, and that was, the things we did to survive. And we weren't bad kids. We just, it takes a lot of money to do what we do, and a lot of time and effort. And anyway, so, all right. So how do people see the Wicker Bar? It's on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
And just Google the Wicker Bar.
Just Google the Wicker Bar, and that's
And
I think
is
I'm
it
up to
140 or is it more?
I think I did 142
142
as of last night.
Sorry.
Okay.
And those are the ones that were strictly on, that we did on YouTube. Before we did YouTube, we were doing the Facebook Live, which I think they nixed out. I don't think you can do that anymore because, you're all freaked out.
And then there's a little side project called the Wacky Wizards World.
Yeah, the Wizard's Wacky World, yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen up to episode number 140, but I haven't seen
Well,
the
we did a couple last night.
Okay,
I'll
good.
do a couple tonight.
So Alex and I are thirsty.
Yeah.
You're gonna.
Yes.
Yeah. I just need some ice and some glasses.
As long as you make the ice out of either rainwater or runoff water.
Yeah.
Because usually gets the water, there's this, it's like at the edge of this hill, and the water just kind of leaches out, and there's these beavers that live down there. So it's like, it makes ice from this water usually.
There are beavers that live.
I used to live in Des Moines, Washington. We couldn't drink the tap water. It
I
was
lived in Des
fun.
Moines.
Yeah, you remember the brown water?
I remember we lived right at where the port bought all the houses.
All right. So I'm gonna go grab some cups and ice, and Blaine's
Yeah.
gonna describe what he's
I'm
making.
making the. I tried to make one a scary one. So this one is from. Actually, this is contributed by our good friend Casey Angel, who is a very, very talented artist who is actually probably a band that Alex and I used to be in called The Accused. We were actually just kind of bit players in that band. But anyway, this guy, Chris Angel, actually did probably, I'd have to say, a lion's share of the artwork for that band that we were in. And he sent me a list of cocktails, I don't know, sometime last year. And it's called Captain Kent's Concoctions. And this cocktail that I'm going to make for us this afternoon is called the Cannibal Sling. And a sling.
Is it old? Is it from an old book of cocktails?
I'm not really sure. It's one that you just gave me. It might be, a lot of these this is kind of like one of those quote unquote tiki ones, and a lot of those are attributed to Vic from Trader Vic or this other Beachcomber Bob or whatever. A couple of these different tiki guys. But this one's called the Cannibal Sling. And the sling is kind of it's a type of a drink, but anyway, I brought all my own stuff. This guy here, he said he had some vodka and he had some like fruit juice or something. It's like we gave up on that long ago. Yeah, I've got about $3,000 worth of booze in my house. That's what I did during the pandemic. But it's going to have some Tanqueray gin.
I drank about $3,000.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to have a maraschino liqueur. This is the Cristiani brand.
What is the maraschino liqueur? I've never even heard of it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no, this is good. Blaine knows his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Is it like simple syrup?
And it has a...
No,
that's right there. And then it has this one, which is a blackberry liqueur. It's called a crème de mûre, because mûre is how you say blackberry in French. One of my favorite things to say.
Now you speak French fluently.
No, I don't.
Yes, usually with his lips.
Grenadine.
That we make our own grenadine, which is made out of pomegranate juice.
Oh, you make your own?
Oh yeah. Once I started making these cocktails, and I bought a jug of that that Rose's grenadine, and I'm looking at it, it's like I'm looking at the ingredients.
Sugar water.
It's basically red sugar water, and I'm looking at it on the internet. It's like, well, what's grenadine? It's pomegranate. It's like there ain't no fucking pomegranate in this stuff. So yeah. So it's that lemon juice. And this actually is lime juice, but I didn't clean out the reamer when I was juicing it, so it had a little leftover residue.
You know you're
from
supposed to clean the reamer, Blaine.
little leftover residue lips, your tongue, from some blood orange that I did.
And that's blood, B-L-O-E-D.
So who's having cocktails? You don't drink.
No, so our crew, Dave Alexander on cameras, he's non-alcoholic, and Max X here is under 18, so it ain't no good for him. And then earlier in the show, Blaine did make one for Novocaine 132, as well as Eddie Campion. So it's just me and Alex, and I don't know if you're indulging.
Novocaine 132.
Are you indulging? I need a third glass. Yeah.
Novocaine 132 sounds like a CV handle.
All right, so now I'm gonna
Not that I know anything about that.
I'm going to do this. So these measurements are going to be for three cocktails. So I'm going to put in 6 ounces of gin. We're using this at Tanqueray because this is what was on sale.
Baby's thirsty.
So, question for you, Blaine.
Yeah.
Tanqueray or Bombay?
You know, I got to tell you, since the liquor laws have changed throughout the United States, there's so many kinds of booze, and that's kind of when we've gone around and we travel, because we do travel to play music around the United States, and other parts of the United States are just getting hip to like good marijuana, good coffee, and IPA, and it's like the IPA, the fancy beers. It's like we had that shit. That was the mid to late '80s thing here in Seattle. It's like it burned out on that years ago, but throughout the United States, all that stuff is.
When they're handing you IPAs on the
These beers are great. Like, we got burned out on that shit fucking years ago. But everybody smokes weed now everywhere.
Well, and in Seattle, it's the three of us now, and I could take, but we have the probably the best in the world. Yes,
and then we're gonna have 2 ounces of
since the '80s, right? Yes.
Well, since the '70s.
The University of Washington strains and all that was kind of the cat getting out the bag. We used to, when we used to tour in the '80s, we'd bring it with us. We'd show it to people in other states, and sometimes they wouldn't even believe it was weed.
The last episode we did
2 ounces of lime juice.
Yes, let's watch this. The wizard at work.
And let's we're gonna do 1.5 of the maraschino liqueur, Cristiani brand. How much did I say? 1.5. All the cocktails, I usually only make a cocktail one time. Because there's so fucking many.
There's so many.
Sometimes I'll double up, but not very often. And then we're gonna go do 2 ounces. And if you want to make your own grenadine at home, it's just like making simple syrup. You just take some pomegranate juice, equal amounts of juice to sugar.
So equal juice to sugar. I've never made my own grenadine, but yeah.
Or
I'm glad you told me.
simple syrup. Yeah.
So simple syrup's the same, just equal amount of juice to water?
Yeah. Well, simple syrup would be
just water and sugar?
Yeah.
Really? They charge $7 for that in the grocery store?
Real, yes.
Just sugar, water. Wow.
So we got about 3 ounces of grenadine. Then our creme de jour. 1 ounce.
So is it that like a blackberry brandy?
Yeah, blackberry brandy. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yes. So the bar that Blaine is working at, my grandfather purchased it as an auction. It's a bar from John Barrymore. He's the grandfather of Drew Barrymore, and he was a famous stage, radio, and movie actor, film actor.
Gosh, I would have known I was doing something more like a daiquiri or something. I've been watching that.
I'm getting ready.
I've been watching Tom Cruise. Because you know I'm about 2 inches taller than he is.
Yeah.
In your bra.
But you didn't start your own religion or claim to be God.
Hang on now. Hang on.
Oh, Blaine did.
He'll tell you, well, a couple of these will tell you all about what we really did, what he really did with all the money.
Yeah, with all the money, yeah. I'm a pretty bad man.
For those who don't know, when Tom Cruise did the original Cocktail, and what was the airplane one, his big famous one?
Top Gun.
Top Gun. Prior to tending bar, he actually had lessons from the wizard, Blaine Cook.
Yes, indeed.
I'm looking at our cameraman, and I can see he wishes he still drank alcohol.
Maybe not.
He's shaking his head now. He knows something that Alex and I know.
I could have done
I think Alex knows that he's going anyway.
I could have done a non-alcoholic, aka a virgin cocktail as well.
There you go. I'm going to wait for you, Alex. And I'll wait for Blaine
I
as
left my
well.
rubber arm in the truck. It's a good thing I drove my car.
Cannibal Sling, courtesy of Casey Kent Angel.
Cannibal Sling by the wizard, Blaine Cook. Once again, you can watch The Wicker Bar on YouTube.
Yep, like, subscribe, there you go.
He's up to 142 episodes.
So is this
Oh, that's delicious.
Yeah.
Do you chug these or sip these?
These are for sipping. You can chug it, but later on you'll find out you're getting in an argument with your old lady.
So, Blaine, when did you realize how good of a musician Alex was? And you were playing with him before? So,
I played in the farts with him too.
Yeah,
you
we
did play in the farts. Okay.
The repop.
Yeah, we did the first reading. Probably. I think I don't like that. I can't say that I can't be speaking for Alex, but I'll just say. I mean, I think maybe intuitively, I think Alex was always a guitar player, more so than a bass player. And I think when
He plays a hell of a bass, though.
when he actually tried out for 10-minute warning.
Okay.
Right after Hoffman was gone. Right at that time, there was this really brief few month period where I was still in 10-minute warning. And honestly, after they kicked me out of the band, they probably should have changed the name of the band to something else because they kind of rode on my coattails on that. But Alex came in and tried out for 10-minute warning. I think he overplayed or was too good, so we ended up getting with somebody else. But no, I mean,
Overplayed too good.
right. He was too good. So
I agree. He overplays.
but,
And you like talented musicians. It's fun to watch those guys overplay.
I've been playing music with Alex since 1986, 1987, something like that. So.
Woo!
86.
Yeah,
86. We're all 86.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't worry how much.
Well, not only is Alex, I would venture to say that there's two of the smartest people that I know in this world, and Alex is one of them, and the other one is a friend of ours, Ophir Ronan. But no, Alex is somebody that does not rest on his laurels. He is always. He plays guitar. He loves fucking playing guitar. That's why when we separated ourselves from doing the Accused, that's why 2 months after that we had another band, and we had.
I was doing the Hot Rod Lunatics up until right before the Accused fell apart. No, right before. I was doing the Farts and the Hot Rod Lunatics at the same time. Then they both took a shit, and then it was a brief period, and then we did that Accused re-up.
Let's
And we did a good record. That's a good record we got out of that deal.
Yeah.
Let's step back since we mentioned 10-minute warning. So the first question, which was first, 10-minute warning or the farts? The
farts turned out in the morning. So this is like around the end of because all that shit when you're younger, everything seems much grander.
Oh, it was grander when we were younger.
Right. And then you can look back on it and think of all the stuff that was crammed into literally months.
You think of like it's a time period of all this shit. It was just a summer.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a couple of years or something. It was actually just a really good summer, and lots of shit happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses was it a 10-minute warning?
Yeah. So we were the Farts up until November of 1982. And then shortly thereafter, I think it was Paul Soldier's idea to change the name of the band to 10-minute warning. Then we changed the name of the band to 10-minute warning, and then Steve quit, and we had already gotten rid of Loud for whatever reason. People were doing whatever they were doing back then, and then we got Duff. Well, Duff and we got Duff came in on second guitar, and then Greg Gilmore came in on the drums, and both Duff and Greg were in a band called The Living together.
What was it like playing with Duff? I've heard he's a great guy.
He's a live wire. I thought I remember him playing drums for 10-minute warning too. With the Farts.
Oh, he played drums for the Farts.
Really?
Yeah, so he came to play drums for the Farts, and we had
what did Loud play?
Loud played drums.
So
even though Loud was really more of a guitar player than he was a drummer. Yes. So Duff came in, and we had we recorded 5 songs with Duff on drums, and we had another couple of 2 or 3 songs that we had that unfortunately were lost in the.
Who recorded over him?
Oh, that was Jimmy Stapleton. Yeah. But right. So and then it was Duff on second guitar, Paul Soldier on lead guitar.
Paul Soldier was from a band called Soldier.
He was from a band called Soldier.
And the Fags.
Prior to the show, Dave and I were looking up the Soldier 7-inch.
Yeah.
That thing goes for about $400 to $700, depending on.
There were a lot of them.
And I do not have one. I'm guessing you have one.
I've got one, and then it was repressed.
Oh, so don't get them yet. But the originals are the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah. It was repressed, and then they did what they call the Codex, which was just a bunch of some live stuff.
Okay.
And they recorded that single in a house that we had in West Seattle, called the Gas Chamber.
Now, in the 80s, I came onto the scene in about 83, 84. Outside of San Francisco, Seattle had one of the best punk scenes and metal scenes in America.
I think it was the coast, because I remember bands from Portland pulling up. And there was just
a great scene.
It wasn't the biggest place, but the pool of talent there was every time there was. The guys that mixed up come up. They're all, and fucking Vancouver, British Columbia, man.
Yes,
absolutely.
They glows.
So many
before,
bands.
before that, like that 1980, 1982
Yes.
time frame, there was a lot of interaction with
The West Coast, the Portland, Vancouver, Seattle. It was just, there's so much. So much fucking talent. So many guys you'd see good fucking bands, man. Guys that could really, good bands.
So, and I did my research. Our scene was pretty explosive from 80 to about 87. In 85, they passed the law that made it illegal for teens to move. You can't dance, can't slam, you can only stand still. And that law kind of killed the scene. But from about 82 to 87, we had a great scene. And
it killed it in some respects, but in other respects, it just showed how vibrant it was, because then they started doing shows at Natasha's in Bremerton, or they started doing shows in Tacoma, and you've got, you get, I don't know how many kids would go to those shows at Natasha's.
A lot of
2,
times.
3, 4, 5, 600 kids.
I touched the ferry many times. I saw you guys.
Or
with
in the
GH
volume of
there.
Tacoma, there's fucking 500, 600, 700
Yeah,
kids.
that just shows, it was like a really a golden age of that of I don't know, youth. It was a youth movement,
Absolutely.
It is, and to give you, so I was promoting shows back then in the Guerrilla Gardens and every place in Seattle I was working at. You couldn't do it anymore. They shut down my Black Flag show, which I lost a fortune on because Black Flag didn't play. Yeah, the Golden Crown I was booking at for a while, which was wild. The upstairs was great, and then the downstairs was quite interesting. You guys want to elaborate?
I went into, as a young boy, I got in there. I wasn't 21.
No, neither was I.
I was playing with Slats and Itchy Brother. We played upstairs with the Walkabouts. Who was
Great band.
Just
Great
started.
band.
It was like, we got all this gear. We're playing with a band that's got a cello. It's like, well, they're okay. And I went, the bathrooms were like down in the bottom.
Yeah.
And I went down in the bottom. I went in there to take a piss, and Cher is standing there taking a piss, and Marilyn Monroe is over taking a piss. And I'm like, that's America.
Yeah, I got
And I used to go and eat lunch too. I ate lunch there with my mom. I mean, 'cause my mom worked across the street past the Bond over there. And I mean, Golden Crown was a Ticketmaster was there.
Yes, Ticketmaster. We used to, yes, the old days of standing in line.
That place was, the Golden Crown was something else. That was a really unique Seattle institution.
So we shifted to Tacoma, like you said. There was the Community World Theater, and then I myself was doing shows in a giant parking lot that was run by a biker gang. And I believe didn't you guys play?
The Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was a cool venue.
That was fun. And,
The bottom of that joint was huge.
And yes, though that was the glory days of the Seattle scene. We haven't had it back, but to my historical understanding is that started kind of between like 79 and 82. It wasn't as vibrant, but that's where it got going with Soldier, the Farts.
Silly killers. I mean, there's all.
Yeah, you guys know I wasn't around yet, so yeah, just elaborate a little bit on
Hot Defect. I mean, and even back then, I think Alex, when you're talking about Rottweiler, I mean, there was, we were city guys. Then there would be
the East Side. Yeah,
and there was the East Side, and then you'd have the group of guys that were like from the U District. Then there was a group that were like down in Kent.
And there was the Everett scene. Which
Yeah, absolutely.
Booming.
But I mean, look. I mean, kids got like Metal Church and
The Rejectors were from Kent.
the Rejectors.
By the way, we are filming in East Kent. Yeah, and Metal Church, one of the best ever. They call it Covington. It's really the high hills of Kent.
Yeah,
Which you can see on Cops quite often. All right. So, I believe. Okay, so
So here you go. You're talking to us. So it's hard. You have to kind of like focus. What are we going to talk? Are we going to focus on for 2021? Are we going to talk about?
we're focusing on your
We've never stopped.
IRI.
We've been doing it the whole fucking time.
Yes. So when did you start? 79? 80. And you?
1980.
1980.
The first show I played was 1980. Was at the Gorilla Room on First Avenue, and they let me fill out a minor musician form. They let me. I was too young to fill out. I think I was 16. I was too young to. You had to be 17 to fill out a minor musician form. And then Porad got us a gig at the Vogue with Wall of Voodoo, but they wouldn't let me do the minor musician thing.
Really? So you didn't get to play with them?
Much nicer.
Oh, Wall of Voodoo is my favorite band. So great.
I saw them they had that punk day thing at Seattle Center with Missing Persons, Wall of Voodoo, and then one of the days was all a metal day. I think I saw Rottweiler and I can't remember all those Hesher bands. They had a day of all of those guys.
I'm so sorry you didn't get to open for
Wall of Voodoo. I was just a punk kid. I thought that was so cool. I mean, that's, you know,
Yeah.
it was fucking cool. And then we played with the Farts at the Showbox of the Dead Kennedys. What year was that? Was that 81?
81, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stop there. So you played the parts with the Dead Kennedys. The record wasn't out by Jello yet, or it was?
We put our own single out by then.
Okay.
So that's when he, whatever, liked us.
So Jello liked you, and see, that's to me when the Seattle scene suddenly went from local to international and really took off with Alternative Tentacles signing the parts. And so what year did the album he put out come out?
I think it may have actually come out shortly as we were getting ready to be done.
As you were almost finished.
I think so. Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
Well, you know, it still sells through today. I mean, it's
I think that 12-inch. Yeah, and then they the single got re-released over in the UK, and then that took forever because they wanted to do a scratch and sniff cover.
and that's the original album.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is a repress. Yeah.
No, we re-recorded these. So we did this.
Okay, so that's a re-recording.
Yeah, we did this.
Oh, this one. So this is the re one, and this is the one that I was on. This one.
Yeah. So we re-recorded a bunch of the old songs, and we put it out on a DIY CD. And then Jello heard that we did that, and then they wanted to put it out.
Good.
2001.
Jello Biafra and Alternative Tentacles. Alternative Tentacles, I like Alternative Tentacles, and I'm not ashamed to admit I love Metal Blade Records too.
There's a lot of good stuff on both those.
Great albums, great stuff. Okay, and gentlemen,
A lot of good stuff on Combat Records also.
so tell us about this one.
That was done by Paul Transparent Records.
Artwork by Jeff Gaither.
Yeah.
Great artwork.
Yeah, always. We've been blessed with people that like our shit and are willing to donate their talents to our endeavors.
Yeah, I think we did.
We appreciate it. Always.
Iron Fist on there. I don't remember what the original song we did on that.
Yeah. Look at this. See, that's one of the benefits of having such a prolific career. Not lucrative, prolific. You put out a lot of shit.
Well, I would say historic is another
Death
word.
for us.
Yeah.
Iron Fist. Yeah.
I think you both of you had a historic career as well. Okay, so
I took this record and that record over to Phil Smart on Capitol Hill when they got those new BMWs to see if I could test drive one. And they, oh God, no, it's an expensive car. Like, did you see this? You see what I'm talking about here? Needless to say, they didn't let me drive the car.
well, you were drunk.
Then I didn't drink it. And then I sent Blaine in there, and then we all got totally sorted out.
Okay, so let's move past the farts. 10-minute warning.
I didn't start drinking until this morning.
Okay, so let's go to the Accused. So I think the Accused did a Accused Rejector split. Was that John Dolan singing that one?
Yeah, John Dolan was singing on that. That was put out on Fatal Erection Records.
Oh, I thought that. So that wasn't self-produced.
No. Those they were kids. They didn't have the
Money. Okay.
put out a record. Yeah, that was him. That's Malcolm Conover. It's his label.
So then,
He's still around.
He's still around, yeah. And then they asked me to join the band in spring of '84.
and that's to me when the Accused really took shape. It was
Yes.
Blaine Cook on vocals, Tommy Niemeyer on guitar, Dana Carvey on drums.
Collins.
I'm sorry, Dana Carvey. Yeah. Dana Collins.
I'm all in now.
Yeah.
And he can play the drums.
Dana Carvey can play the drums.
He legit can play the drums. I've seen him play like the solo from Inagata and blah, blah, blah.
So in other words, that wasn't a slip of the tongue. That was just wishful thinking.
We call that David
Although
Collins.
Dana Collins was such a great guy,
Dana
and then
Collins.
Chewy Batterman.
Dana Collins had a premier style that influenced many, many, many thrash drummers. I'll tell you that right now.
And he's a wonderful, wonderful guy.
We haven't spoken in years.
I spoke to him about a month ago, and yeah, he's
Did he mention me?
many, many, many times. Okay, so let's rest in peace, Chewy Batterman. And
Yeah.
Chewy was actually, I knew all the Accused guys, but Chewy and I were actually kind of friends. Chewy was a great performer. His bass skills were limited, but his performance was
He made up for the enthusiasm.
absolutely. So
Not to be
Chewy,
said for that.
Chewy went downhill quick.
A bit later, I saw him later on in the 90s. I read it. We'd run into him,
Played somewhere.
and he showed up. I was somewhere
like some hall or something up in the north end. He showed was there.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. There's a couple shows he went. There was some shows he was in jail for too, right? Or
We were supposed to play with the Necros when they moved the Rock Theater over there by Fremont.
Yeah,
He was in jail.
and unfortunately, we all loved Chewy, but
Well, what happened. Well, we had to let him go because we drove to Spokane to do a show, and back then shit happened. Because things weren't like real clubs. It wasn't that. That's not how it worked. So they were working on getting the show moved somewhere else, and he was
he was no longer there.
So we ended up
So that's when Alex.
That's when Alex. Yeah, we were looking for a bass player. Tom drew up this little flyer, and we were out, pasting flyers, and we were out on the Ave, and it's like, well, there's Alex. It's like, I knew he was a bass player. It's like, here, you want to come? And then he, a couple days later, I was living in my mom's basement, and he came over, and he had his little shim pipe, because weed was
Good choice.
weed was kind of harder to come by back then. So you'd have to look, and
Make a little dab, do you?
yeah, we had those songs on the Thrasher Skate Rock Volume 3, and I played those for him, and it's like, yeah, he dug it, and
I was playing with some other guys, and
I have that downstairs. I should have brought it out. I also have Volume 5.
yeah.
Okay, so the lineup. Now there were many different. Okay,
we had a lot of different drummers.
when did Dana check out? What album was that?
Mad Stories.
Mad Stories.
Yeah, right as Mad Stories. I think we were gonna get ready to do the European tour, and whatever. I mean, I can sit down. We were younger, and you don't know how to talk to people. We're going through their weird trips, and Dana was going through some weird trips. Sometimes people are trying to find themselves, and I think maybe at that point in time he was trying to find himself, and it wasn't really jiving with what we were doing musically.
Musically, yeah, it was really mainly musically, and somebody had a very, very strong opinion of the fact that he was removing drums and adding cymbals, and he ditched his bass drum, and we had like lots of double bass stuff, and you can't. Some people can, I don't know. You can kind of substitute it with a floor tom. I'm getting too technical, but
And that was before people were doing the double bass pedal.
yeah, no. That was before they came out, and when they did, they were so brutally fucking expensive. These guys are just in it. Like they're like $700, $800 in fucking things. You can get it for $99. That's really nothing now, but that was a lot of money back then too, especially if you're fucking thrash punk kid. But the drop in the thing and the change in the musical style, and somebody was very displeased with that, and it's
Somebody? Are we speaking Tommy?
you better put some.
I'm a journalist, so
Make a salt circle around when you say
and
that.
just so the two of you know, we've got Tommy and Josh.
You should bring them in, and we'll talk about the Dana thing. I don't remember all of it.
All I know is we met up with down at the Lowell's in the market, and up upstairs. I haven't been to Lowell's in forever, so I don't know if they still have they have the main floor, then they have the middle floor where the bar was, and then they have the upper floor. So we met up there, and these guys have their fucking sunglasses on.
I show up late. I'm like, well, maybe it'll be on. I get there, it's like everybody's not here, and this is like something out of a fucking John Candy movie. I get there, and Blaine and Tom are sitting there. Dana's sitting on one side of the table. It's a booth. Dana's sitting here. They're sitting there. They got the sunglasses on. Of course, I got impervious, blacked out sunglasses too. And I sit with them. The three of us are sitting on one side of the table, and Dana said, "See, that would could have been. If I'd have had the presence of mind, I would have sat next to him and tried to,
Tried
Yeah.
to
hold him as he was bleeding out.
Yeah. And then we ended up getting a really pack drummer, because not everybody had the patience to try out drummers. So we ended up trying out playing with this guy Nick the Hammer.
UTEC.
Well, he was a young guy, kind of muscly, but
It wasn't up to snuff, and we were like at a time constraint where we can work this guy in and pull out this tour, but that was all we did with him.
yeah.
So, Alex, Blaine, Tommy.
Yes.
How long, just the three of you, we'll go over the drummers we'll deal with later, but the three of you, how long were you together?
Well,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
the original. We did, the original run when Alex came into the band
With Dana.
Yes, and when did that end with, not with Dana, but with Tommy?
That ended with Tommy leaving because there was a conflict of interest where he was more focused on the other band.
Yeah. So and then we had so we started playing drums with we had Nick the Hammer, and then we got Steve Nelson, who was in a band called March of Crimes. So he came and he played with us.
Very good friend of ours.
Yeah.
Very, very good friend of ours. Awesome drummer. We see him to this day. We love him very dearly. He's
Yeah.
absolutely one of our best buds.
Yeah. So we played with him for a while, and then
Blaine, So, this, please tell me about.
Oh,
I mean, okay. Well, then you have to.
So this is after Tommy's gone?
So we I mean, I don't know how deep that you want to get into that, but like Alex said, the attention and focus wasn't on
The
Accused, and we were at that point in time we were a working band, and this is what we were doing. This, I think I may have had a job. I know we did kind of like odd jobs, whatever we could do. But I mean, that's what we were doing.
we were getting enough money as punks to live off of this thing.
Live off of it.
So you enjoy life stuff.
Yeah. So we were. We had
You
been
can't take a permanent job.
right. So we had been dropped. We had been dropped by Combat. We did a.
We're on Nasty Mix.
We did a couple records with Empty Records, and then we were trying to even with the last record we were supposed to do with Combat, it was a bit of a struggle coming up with the material because the type of band that we are, you need to show up with a song that's like ready to go. We're not like
We're pretty close.
Yeah, we're not like Van Halen or Supertramp, where you get to spend 9 months in the studio and you.
No, that shit's you show up with that shit done.
Yeah.
Somebody was serving two masters and had no riffs for what we were doing.
Yeah.
And we also had
Yeah. So we end up. So we do those couple of things with Empty Records. Then we get signed. We get signed to Nasty Mix.
So this is the front of Nasty. You had more than one on Nasty.
What is this?
Yeah, those really.
When did this? Wait a minute.
And so a lot of things. Tommy puts out a lot of things. In my understanding is
Well,
yes,
well,
you
it's
guys
Tom.
know.
No,
He doesn't. Well, because
Including the
Tom.
grunt truck one that you're on.
I'm there,
next
but
month.
that's that in of itself.
So if you want to get back to this, so we do the grinning record on Nasty Mix. We do the Straight Razor EP. We did a European tour.
Without him.
No, we did it with Josh. And even Josh at that point in time, I don't know, he was getting into whatever he was getting into. That we did a big show with Josh down in LA at the.
Is that where we did the interview? And it was
We played with a Creator and Excel,
and Palladium, the fucking Palladium.
And I mean, I can't say for certain, but I mean, Josh was proficient enough that he was like, I'm almost like purposefully not playing the songs, properly.
Yeah, he's a good drummer.
Yeah.
He's beyond a good drummer. He's by far
Fantastic.
He's
Yeah.
the best drummer I've ever played.
So then we get back and he
Can't say anything bad about that.
we get back, and then whatever, he's got some lady friend that feels that we need to do.
We need some very special management that we're not capable of doing.
Yeah, we need to do this, that, or this.
There's a
this, that, or
legit
the
copy
other.
right there.
Yeah, and that's
Earlier, Blaine mentioned the Nasty Mix release. That's one of them.
Yeah.
This is the Straight Razor, the original cassette.
Well, this is something that came out later.
Yeah, I don't-
on Rest Records. So we did our last record that we did with Nasty Mix was the Splatter Rock record, which once again it was people's time was such that really honestly that LP is really, it's an EP. I mean, there's a whole bunch of filler. There's barely 15 minutes worth of music on there, and we kind of did. I mean, that was honestly at that point in time we were doing it for the money. So I think for
tens of hundreds of dollars.
Well, that one we did get. We did get some cash for, but and we had a Devin Carricash was playing drums with us, and he was from a band called Date Rape, and unfortunately Devin and Tom were roommates, which wasn't probably what wasn't such a good thing. So the Splatter Rock record comes out. I think we I can't remember. We either walked with 12 or 14 grand. So we did the record for like 4 or 5, and then we got to pocket that, and we had a European tour scheduled. And each European tour that we did, they each got better. The first one we did, it was fucking absolutely terrible. We
had no gear. We were in a shit Volkswagen van. It was nothing. And by the time they were done, we were touring in a giant fucking tour bus with all the gear on.
Yeah.
So that must have been great.
It was.
Yeah, it was a lot better.
So Tom, he just up and quit. So with this record.
What year is this?
That was right before the European tour, and he was saying, I'm gonna. Because we're pushing on it because we were working on another record and we had this tour lined up, and I think he knew he had us behind the 8 ball, and he goes, well, I'm jumping ship, taking the ship with me. And we're like, well, what the fuck does that mean? Basically saying I'm leaving now and you can't do either of these fucking things. And so we're kind of like,
either of these things mean the tour,
working on the record and this tour that's like so close, how can you
how can you just back out in a second?
Well, oddly enough, I was playing guitar. I had a rehearsal studio and I was playing fucking Sabbath covers with these other guys, and the one guy was a relatively proficient guitar player, and I was like, well, why don't we ask Holmes to sit in and play all this shit? And we thought that was a very diabolical and brilliant idea. I go over there, asked Andy Massey from Terrorist if you play this shit and want to go out and do. He's like, absolutely. We gave him a fucking a set list, and he choked it down, and we went to Europe without fucking Niemeyer.
So what year is this?
That was either 90 or 91. Around that time.
We did 2 European tours with him. We played like one. We played a Mirror Festival. We didn't play any stateside shows with Andy.
Okay.
Maybe 2 or 3. We did.
So in 90, 91, you guys did a tour of Europe as the Accused without Tommy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys come back. What happens to the Accused after you come back from 91?
We quit.
Well, we did one more tour.
You did do another tour.
We did another European tour with
That was
Jason.
with that guy.
Yeah, with Jason Austin. And once again, it was one of those deals where it's like, well, you go over there and you don't have regular catch it's crew catch These guys are complaining about it.
Everything.
You have to go to the laundromat and wash your clothes. Well, it's different than going to the laundromat.
If you say I need to go to the bathroom, they send you to a bath.
Yeah, you gotta
Not a toilet. You have to say the word toilet, or else you don't get a toilet.
Or when you're walking around the airport, I mean, you used to get profiled. I mean, that's people talk about now. People get profiled. Back then, guys, punkers, guys with tattoos, long hair. I mean, you were profiled. So when you get to the airport, take your baseball hat off and take off your fucking sunglasses, because otherwise
They're tapping you on the shoulder.
yeah, they're tapping you on the shoulder, and these guys wouldn't do it, and we would get
Harassed.
Oh, I mean, back then.
Well, you get harassed anyway. I mean, I get
Yeah.
the ball. There was a period of time after the last time we came, that last European tour we came back, I got shit in customs so much. It's like, I'm not fucking doing this again.
You're getting naked like all the time.
Yes.
I mean, we entered
standing there
one.
naked, your butt fucking naked in an office, explaining yourself to some asshole that simply doesn't like you.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not protocol. What did I do? What do you expect? It's not that. You're just trying to fucking bust my balls.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going in. We went in. The country of Luxembourg, which is like this. So we have to go. We have to cross Luxembourg, I think, to get into Belgium
Or Austria or something.
or Austria or whatever. And it's like you get in there, and it's like these guys are and people are freaked out over here. I mean, over there, it's like dudes had machine guns were like fucking everywhere. Yeah, you know, and there's fucking cops like back there, and the cops
And they're big.
They're fucking big, and, you know. And these guys, they're cleaning their machine guns. It's like, oh, now we gotta go.
So let me see your my hat. Yeah, I take my hat off. What he goes in the? Oh, do I have anything inside the band?
Yeah.
No. Okay. So, and then we go through that with pockets, and then there's a pause. He goes in. It's like, oh, you want to see the boys? Okay. So,
Yeah, all of
you
it.
gotta fucking produce your balls and juggle your balls and show them that you don't have a milligram of hash on your balls.
And we even had.
But you did smoke hash while you were here.
Oh yeah, we had the bus. We were boarded in Germany with, you know, fucking cops and.
Oh, dog! I woke up in Austria. Somebody oddly enough, I got some. You never got loose weed there. You always got shitty stale hash. Or no, I saw loose weed out of Holland one time, but I was in Austria and the guy hands me a big wad of weed and I fold it up in a poster for the gig and I stick it in my pocket. And then later on, I'm laying in my bunk and I'm totally asleep. I'm totally out. And we had these guys from Denmark. The girl singer. Yes. Rigid Domain. Rigid Domain from Denmark. And God, that guy was like 7 feet tall. And they'd speak among themselves. They'd wake up and they start speaking among themselves. And apparently Danish to my ears sounds really weird. It's like, what am I?
Mine as well.
It's a very, it's just, I've never heard it before. And I heard this like a bunch of times, and I ended up hearing it so much, I popped my eyes open, and I'm like, will you fucking shut up with that shit? I'm trying to sleep. So I wheeled around to tell them to shut up, and I wheeled around, and there's this guy in a fucking pig uniform with a German Shepherd.
Oh, good. I like pigs.
Yeah, he's like this close to me with an overcoat and a hat, and he's saying hashish, hashish to the dog. And I'm like bolt fucking awake and act like I'm just changing. And I had a bag of weed in my pocket. It's like, this is just bullshit. And they went to the end of the bus and they walked back off the bus. And that was that.
That's good.
No, it is good.
Okay, so I want to go back to a timeline here. What I see here is a picture from 1992 stating the accused without a picture of Tommy Niemeyer.
Right, because he had bailed.
I hear 2 European tours.
Yep.
Did you play again in the U.S.?
We played the amphitheater. And,
We did one of those pain in the grass things. You know, you get there's some of that stuff where I just don't remember. You know, I can remember the beginning and the ending, but there gets to be so much of that stuff.
There's a lot of back
so much of that stuff in the middle that I can't. I know that we did do some stuff. I know we.
That guy flew us over to that armory.
Yeah. We played a Halloween show in Salt Lake City with that
lineup.
And
was that with through Ranch?
No, I don't even remember.
Did he have a bag of joints?
No, I don't
Probably.
remember.
Yeah.
So we did. Yeah, we were flown in for that Halloween show. We played a show down in San Francisco at a club called the Bottom of the Hill. And we played with this band called Spoon. They're from Portland. And there was this weird. There was like a power outage,
And the trolleys were stalled.
Yeah. So there were some other shows that we did, but I mean, it's just like
There's a handful of them.
yeah. So I had a job at that point in time,
And then, oddly enough, Grunt Truck was on tour in Europe with Pantera, and Tom calls me and asks me, do I want to play bass for them when they get back?
Okay, wait, I was going to ask you. I got some questions on Grunt Truck, but I want to keep on this timeline. So
It was pretty short.
Tommy Niemeyer claims to own the name The Accused.
Well, okay, so
He tells you guys can't use it.
Well,
What I
so-
see here
well, you
is
have-
an established history.
Oh, right. Well, then you go. Well, then that goes forward. So so that was done. These guys did the Grunt Truck thing. Of course, that fucking pissed me off because it's like, well, there you go. So I'll just be accused with them that no one's seen. Which I told Alex.
Because it was me. Yeah.
So I told Alex.
And Josh.
Yeah. So I told Alex later on how unhappy I was, and then that was fine. And
I can understand what you're happy.
And then so we did one more one little kind of reunion thing, but I mean it was like when you get to the point where it's like you have to practice and you have to be good at your craft. And when it ends up being like more for the money, it's diluted and
it's not enjoyable.
Yeah, you're not pulling it off.
If everybody's working and you're supposed to practice at 7 and you show up at 10:30 and fuck with your shit.
So that's the second time. So we do the first reunion, and then we do the second reunion, and at that point in time, I become friends with Mike Rainey because I went through like these guys.
Who used to manage us? We had a
Time travelers.
Yeah, so
because he used to manage us.
right. So I had done this thing like people do that are at AA or NA, and I went out and it's like you did this thing and it hurt me, and then I also went to people that like Mike Rainey who ended up stiffing us, but he also provided us a lot of opportunities.
Very much so.
Did he manage TSOL as well?
Yes.
TSOL.
Yeah, Black Flag, Texas,
I know he did.
Screaming Sirens.
He was a damn good manager. He also had a store in downtown Seattle, Time Travelers.
Yeah.
He worked. Sadly, Mike has left the building. As
So
well.
I'd become friends with Mike. We used to hang out. I'd go over to his house.
In Queen Anne, I used to go over there.
No, this was up in the north end.
Okay.
When
After
he-
Jeremy died, his wife died.
Yeah. So when he was, starting to do the films there, we'd go up there and have parties. I'd go up there with my wife and my kid, and we'd watch movies. And I was starting to collect 60 millimeter movies at that point in time. He let me borrow stuff, and he had all of the VHS live Accüsed shows, which he gave to me. So I was over there at Mike's, and we were putting together this video archives number 2. Because he would let me, because I also had a show on public access TV back then called The Wizard's Wacky World, and Mike would let me use.
I saw The Wizard's Wacky
World. He would let me use some of his equipment and let me use clips from his movies and whatnot. He ended up running into like Tom or something at fucking swap meet or something. So then we're talking about that, and of course for me at that point in time, God, nothing would be better than bring the band back.
Which you made several attempts to do.
Well, this was the last one. So we got it back together. I had just coincidentally run into Steve Nelson in downtown Seattle back when you used to be able to walk around the city.
Seattle used to be the most beautiful city in America, and now it's.
Well, you'd always inevitably you're going to run into
Somebody you know.
So here I run into Steve. It's like, hey, so Steve came back and did drums.
But he hadn't played the drums since he left our band in the 80s. He hadn't touched the drums. He likes to play the trumpet. He's a shit hot drummer.
Yeah, and
we love Steve.
So we'd been doing jamming at my house with the Bart. So I don't remember exactly what the steps were that we ended up getting the Accüsed back together.
So what happened was you guys.
Alex didn't want to do it.
I didn't want to do it,
but he did it for me.
I did it for Blaine because I felt sorry for shorting him in the grunt truck thing. So I was playing guitar in other bands. I was doing the Hot Rod Lunatics and the Farts, and then both of them took an absolute shit show. Like within a couple of months of each other, they both crapped out. So I had 2 totally viable bands. It's like, why do I have nothing but a bad taste from the last one. Why would I want to do that? And and then I had nothing. And then there was a little. I think I had some hospice going on in my house. So the prospect of maybe playing some music was like a little more appealing at that point in time. So Mike Brady called me, and he was mentioning getting the band back together, and I was like, I haven't talked to you in 20 years. And he called me on the fucking phone. He goes, I haven't talked to you for a while, buddy. Here I am. Like, yeah, okay. So we had a little chat, and then I told him what my issues were, why I wasn't necessarily really super moved. Correct. And then about 15 minutes later, Niemeyer calls me on the phone. I haven't talked to Niemeyer in a long time, too, and he kind of addresses all of those things that I'd mentioned. I was like, this is kind of, I don't know what adjective to use. Right. It's a maraschino cherry of a conversation.
It's maraschino.
Yeah, well, that's real. Maraschino's not. And I was like, yeah, whatever. All the subterfuge and all this bullshit and backwater and blackwater bullshit. I thought this could be a cool opportunity. And I'm telling you, that record that we made was very good.
Which record was that?
Martha Will.
Oh, Martha.
Oh,
Martha.
That fucking record kicks, man. I mean, I feel pretty good about that record. We didn't I guess it's up to subjectivity if you You know, like
Well, that's the
Reissue.
yeah, the other graphics were better.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't want to deal with all the other artists, so we ended up with that.
So we get together. We're playing, and we have the one person that couldn't show up to practice on time. And basically, at that point in time,
Who is that person?
That was Tom.
Tom.
So,
I mean,
you know, basically at that point in time, I had a career. I'd been a preschool teacher at that point in time. I was working in a Head Start program where I'm a child advocate. I'm spending time with children. I'm working with families. The families I'm working with are from Vietnam, Cambodia, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea. So this is my job. I need to get up in the morning. I'm shaved. I'm focused. That's what I do. Alex had a career, his career as well, as did Steve Nelson, and you know, I also had to take classes. I mean, I just had a kid. I mean, whole bunch of other shit that was involved in, you know, in
Making it happen.
In making it happen. And this guy couldn't show up to practice on time. When he showed up, he wanted to portray himself as a professional. Well, I tell you what, we show up to practice every time. You know what? You turn your fucking guitar on and you fucking play. With this, it's like, well, you know what? It's 9 o'clock now. You're supposed to be here at 5. And now you got to fucking fiddle with your knobs because you don't know.
And you left him the last time we played. Nobody touched your shit.
So, and then you know, he would show up to gigs late. There was a couple of gigs that almost got canceled.
We thought we weren't gonna play.
Because he wasn't there. He wouldn't show up for sound checks. He wanted us to sound check with one of his fucking buddies. You know,
That's not a kick in the balls at all.
It was fucking ridiculous. And at that point in time, you know, very much like I'm talking about the collective we, at that point in time, what we were doing there was the collective we. We had a person that I had been corresponding with named David Stegman that was a graphic designer and a screen printer in Lubbock, Texas. And he fronted us like thousands of dollars of merchandise. You know, flew it up, there you guys go. You know, we had that. We had guys that are doing artwork for us. We had these guys that came and did a website for us. I mean, all this shit that people are doing for us, and
For nothing but love. It's like
for nothing but love.
Lucky if people want to dedicate their talents and their skills to you for free just because they like what you're doing. It's like, and we've always been very open-hearted about that. That's one of the coolest things you can fucking do.
So the verbal agreement that the four of us had, which was Alex, myself, Steve Nelson, and Tom, was that from that point forward, everything was going to be divided up four ways, and we were going to be able to create the steady stream of income from that point on. That, you know, maybe it's $100
Products, merchandise,
maybe it's $20, whatever that we're going to get every month for
perpetuity
for the four of us. So I can't remember which happened first, which happened second. So we hear about there's this band. And, you know, if you go on Discogs, there's already bands from the Accused. There was a band from the UK that did a bunch of records,
Kansas or something.
78, 79, called the Accused from the UK. There was another band from Washington D.C. called the Accused, and actually the first U.S. tour that we did, people thought that we were that. Washington, D.C., Accused. So there was some band from Boston that was calling themselves the Accused, and Tom was all freaked out. Well, people are going to be confused between the two. It's like, nobody's going to be confused. So let's trademark the name of the band. So we all, as a band, decided, yes, we are going to trademark the name of the band. So we, as a band, because I was holding the money, because I know how money works. If you have money, you can make shit happen. If you don't have money, nothing's going to happen. So I've been swirling the money away. So we, as a band, paid to have the name trademarked.
Okay.
So
whose name's on the
well, that's so. A few weeks later, after all of that goes through, Tom shows up to practice with his partnership agreement.
That I had outspokenly said I don't want any fucking contracts, any partnership, none of that shit. I don't want to sign any fucking papers for anything.
So you guys just want a straight four-way split.
Just a four-way split, and the other stuff ends up going into like the total realm of like other taxable entity things. It's like if any of this comes into you personally, you can claim it personally, but when you start creating other fucking entities,
you
whole
do a
other
tax
I don't want any fucking part. And I was
Yeah, so
emphatic about that.
he shows up with that, and it's like, no. And then he trademarked the name and only put his name on it.
Okay.
But it was our money as a band. And then he brought Mike Vraney in to be our manager. And mind you, at that point in time, I had a really, really good relationship with Mike Rainey, and Mike Rainey shows up to work with us, to be our manager, which is actually more of an avenue for him to promote his son's band called DEK. So we ended up doing these different things with DEK that were like they were terrible. You know, and it was just so he was using us to prop up his kid's band. And when we said, you know, Mike, we don't need you, because I mean, really, I had a full-time job. I'm married. I got a kid. Alex has a full-time job. Steve Nelson has a full-time job. I mean, we pretty much know what it is that we can do, and by that point in time,
We've also had dozens half a dozen albums out.
right? We don't, and we can make what needs to happen. We can make happen. So from that point on. The next time I ran into Mike Graney, he told me to fuck off. I'm going, what? You know, because somebody had soured that relationship that I had cultivated.
Somebody.
And so then I had squirreled away the money to record that last record that we did with Jack, that I paid to put out. I paid $7,000 to get those CDs put out, and at that point in time, Tom's going, well, let's just do, you know, 500 at a time or 100 at a time. It's like, dude, it doesn't fucking.
It's not cost effective.
It doesn't.
It's not 1983.
You need to do a minimum of 1,000 to even get cost effective.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. So that's when all this weird money shit goes on, because there was this level of paranoia.
Tom's thinking Blaine's stealing money from the band.
He thinks, and then he thinks we're talking about him behind his back. It's like, well, yeah, you know what? If you show up to practice 3 hours late, and he had a technique of this deflection where he would never show up. There was never an apology. There was never a sorry.
He'd show up mad.
He would show up mad, and it's like, well, okay.
Start throwing shit around like
Now you're mad. Well, we've been sitting around for fucking hours, and at that point in time, the nature of Alex's job is he was also doing side work. So if he knew he didn't need to be somewhere until 9, he's losing money. So the guy's like, you know, there's like this fucking anger to
deflect, to not be held accountable for the fact that
for what we're not doing anything.
Well, we had Nelson go pick it. We started to get Steve to go pick him up to bring him to practice on time, and Steve would show up on time. He'd just buzz around his house. Mm-hmm. Why, as if he was under the influence of something the whole time, he was buzzing around his house.
Yeah, so I mean, so that's basically, it was just like, it was fucking stupid, and we were negotiating a contract with Relapse Records, and Tom was like, like a lot of guys are going to try to do this country thing, so he had this thing called Tommy Tombstone. So he was worried about the contract and the sideman provision where they don't want you to sign a contract for your band, but then you're going to go you're going to do all this other shit. So I mean, I'm talking to these guys at fucking Relapse, and they were, the opportunity that we lost out on by not being on Relapse Records at that point in time is fucking huge. So I'm negotiating with these guys. Each time they make a change to the contract, we're gonna fucking print it off. Here's like this 20-page contract, and it's like, then it's like we end up, doing the thing on our own, and it was just like, it was fucking stupid. And there was this paranoia about the money. At one point in time, I bought a new car.
What was it? What kind of car was it?
It was a Hyundai Elantra, 4-speed.
He doesn't pull out the stops when he rips you off. He buys.
My wife is a fucking professional. I had a career. It's like I paid to put out that fucking CD. It's like I've got, everybody does what they do with their money. I had
unless you don't have it.
Unless you don't have it. I had the money to fucking make the shit happen. And so I made it happen. So we ended up we put out that record on our own. We ran some ads. I think maybe Rocket was still going on, and whatever that magazine they used to, maybe The Stranger, the magazine they used to get out at Hot Topic.
Oh, was that
Backfire? No, that was no.
It was a nationwide thing.
It was
It wasn't a local thing.
No, it was I'll think of it in a second.
Anyway, so we get full page ad in that, designed by David Stegman, because he was working with us. He did all the layout for that record. We had the original concept for the cover of that record was something very similar to with the Jeff Gaither, R.K. Sloan, and Tom's going, no, we can't make that happen. It's like, okay, so we ended up doing this bullshit collage cover.
Wait, you're skimming over. Somebody showed up to collaborate and was there for 3 days and nobody would show up to meet with him.
Who was that? Oh, Chris Angel?
Was it Chris Angel? Remember he showed up at the house and he was waiting and they were going to work on some shit? He was there for 3 days and dude wouldn't show up?
I don't remember.
I do.
So anyway, so we ended up doing this bullshit collage cover, and of course Tom, his piece of art was like the last one to be contributed, and it's like at this time it's like
You have deadlines.
well, we're doing this shit, so we get this we do a couple of shows, like we did a couple of Portland shows. We've still been fucking playing this whole fucking time. So we know if you want to go down to Portland, you have two choices. You can leave at like two in the afternoon, get down there, fucking hang out in the van, go trip around, go hang out at the club, or go to a hotel. Or you can leave at 5 o'clock. You can spend 5 hours in and stop and go traffic. We like to leave a little bit early, get down there. Fucking the dude would show up late, and there was one show that we did down there, and we didn't get down there till 9:30 or 10 o'clock because you're in the traffic. You know, and once again he shows up and the dude's all fucking angry, and it's like it's these situations where it's like, and we're still the bad guys. So we get the record. The record comes out. And Tom was a guy that after every practice he's putting on a new shirt. He's always taking shit. We did a record release show at this bookstore in Bremerton. And
we had to drink Old English 800 because there was no liquor around.
And then somebody was fucking, hiding, passed out, while we're getting ready to fucking play. And then we hooked up.
That's
with
when
this.
he gave us.
Then we hooked up with this band, Municipal Waste.
Great.
And they were at that was kind of cool. That was so. Once again, this is where that losing out on that deal with Relapse was such a shame, because that Municipal Waste was on that first wave of how these new kids are getting into this crossover
Thrash metal shit. We played the Burt Rahman show with those guys.
Yeah,
and now they're playing fucking arenas.
Yeah, so we rent a vehicle. We do these shows. Up and down the West Coast, and it was just like fucking stupid. We go to this Mexican restaurant, and well, first he broke his guitar because he couldn't tune it.
He broke it in Portland
because he couldn't fucking tune the fucking thing. So he breaks it. We got to buy a new guitar down in San Francisco, and we go to this Mexican restaurant. We're like fucking burrito, a couple of tacos. And he orders the fucking carne asada steak platter. Well, you know what? That takes longer to cook a fucking steak. So he fucking has this big blowout that his food is taking longer.
To the guys that work there, which is always a really good idea. I always see Jeff yell at your servers and the people that cook your food.
So we did those shows. We were coming back up to Seattle. We were going to play the Hemp Fest, and we had another show booked at the Funhouse, the original Funhouse there. And
I was at that Hempfest show.
Yeah, and would have been fucking killer. But it's like we get up here, it's like
30,000.
and then he starts saying he doesn't want to do this or that. It's like, dude, I mean, where's the fucking professionalism? So we're going to come back up here, and he wants to cancel one. It's like, no, fuck it, we're fucking done. Yeah. We're not going to do anything.
We had a whole other West Coast thing planned, and he didn't want to do it because the drive was so long.
Yeah,
it's like, but you know that we've done this since we were fucking kids.
Yeah, and so we can, and then he wants us or me, because I'm the targeted evil,
well, he's the
evil genius, because Alex can't fucking think for himself. Like I said, Alex is one of the smartest guys I know. He's got a much broader knowledge base than I do, a whole bunch of shit. So I definitely don't control him or push his buttons.
But he steals my money all the time. He
Yes.
comes in at night. I wake up and I got my hand. He's like making me sign.
So he wanted us to give him fucking everything.
Everything being all.
All the merch, and then so we
Which basically was us kicking him out.
Yeah, so I think we did 5,000 of those CDs, and I was doing the fucking whole thing, man. I'm going to the fucking post office every fucking day. I'm dealing with distributors from around the world. I'm fucking making shit fucking happen, and I do it because it's not for me to blow my own horn. It's because I'm all about the collective we, because that's what I can do. I'm not a musician. That's what I can do. That's what I contribute. So he figured, well, 5,000 CDs at $10 a piece. So you owe me this much money.
Wow.
And that guy gave away more fucking shit than anybody.
Yes, always.
T-shirts, CDs. We did that first reunion show at the Studio 7. The guy's fucking guest list was like fucking 70 people, and we go to the backstage. It's like, well, all the beer's gone. There's no place for us to sit because all these
rows are standing there.
It's because you get all your fucking buddies to get in for free, and then we don't get to get anybody in because
the guest list was burned.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't get any drink tickets. Put all this shit in the back and those guys will drink it.
Yeah,
that's kind of petty, but it's just another example of that.
Right.
Of everything was at that level of.
Yeah. So he wants all the shit, and it's like, dude, no, we're fucking done. We're fucking done. We're done with you. And a couple of weeks later, there's a fucking knock on the door, and these guys all show up.
Lord Jesus!
These guys all show up, and it's like this fucking intervention, because I'm the.
Lane just answers the door, and he opens the door, and all three of us are standing on the front porch. He's like.
Yeah.
And then I realized I'd been hoodwinked because he called me up. So we are going to meet over at Blaine's, and I got a dog collar I want to give you for your dog, and we're going to meet over there and talk about a couple of things. I'm like,
we're practicing in my basement. That last record, none of that last shit would have happened if we weren't practicing in the basement. If I wouldn't have paid to put the record out. If I wouldn't have squirreled away the money to pay Jack and Dino at Soundhouse Studios.
If writing it wouldn't have been left entirely to him, if you want to know what him at the control of all that shit is like, listen to the record right after that. That's a fucking slab. Okay,
yeah, so we're fucking done. It's like, here you go. We're gonna divide everything by 4. So I'm the one. I'm selling CDs because I'm the guy that was doing the fucking distribution. So we sold all our CDs. I mean, I think I finally got rid of the last of the posters that we had. I think I sent Dave a copy. But I mean, we just kept we kept doing our thing, and then then we start to do toe tag, and he starts to do his thing, and then he's getting all fucking.
What's his thing?
Okay. He started to do the Accused, and really honestly, at that point in time, shit had changed.
Had when he wasn't in the band, had he objected to you guys using the name Accused yet?
We hadn't used it.
We had.
No, I mean when he wasn't in the band before here.
Yes. Yeah, the first time he didn't, but it was different. There was no internet. There was a lot less. The first time we did like the year, like with Andy Massey. Yeah. No, he crowed about it a little bit, but
okay.
And even Brian, it really bothered him because he threw it up the last time too about. How
here's the other thing about that. Tom is not dated Stain. So it's not like he has sole writing credits for all of those fucking records, and that's what he's done now. He's trademarked the name, and he's used that as carte blanche
to scrub the
history and to do everything that he wants. You can go if you go and research how he's changed the publishing of the songs. I mean, he's claiming complete writing rights for these songs that Inherit the Earth by Lamb of God. That generated some fucking income. I came up with the name Inherit the Earth. I wrote the lyrics,
riffs.
So I mean, it wasn't his. It's not his song. He's under the guise of trademarking the name of the band. That doesn't mean that you that you can take responsibility for all of that stuff.
And part of it is it's not like we're looking at the tens of dollars that it would be. It's like that's not right. That's not what happened. That's not the history.
Yeah, it's a principle. He did all those Unrest record releases. And
what about Tracy Bahamas?
No. Chris from Unrest. Unrest is a great label, and Chris is a great guy.
Yeah.
We did invite him here today. Chris was reluctant to get in.
Yeah, well, because I thought, because it ends up
take care of you guys as well.
Eventually, that eventually that did happen. But
Okay.
it was more because if this becomes like
Well,
this.
Chris did detail to me that he felt it was a little unfair. You guys were getting nothing. And
Well, I mean, all of those things that Tom has done with Unrest Records, those are all things to generate income for himself. And there was absolutely no reason to re-release 3 different versions of The Return of Martha Splatterhead when there's nothing extra involved in any of the packaging.
But he remastered them.
Yeah, there's nothing, or the Nasty Cuts thing, or any of this other shit.
How do you remaster them? I'm sitting on all the tapes.
Yeah, and I've got all the contracts. We have all the master tapes. I mean, if it's his baby, we have all this. We have all.
You have all that.
I have all the documentation.
We have all the stuff, and it's but there are some people that no matter what they do, they're always held in high regard, and the level of disrespect that was given us it's horrendous, so.
It seems to me, I'll be very candid, for everything he liked to claim, he didn't like to practice, he didn't like to hang out, he didn't like to play shows. I'm not sure why you're here.
so I would like to start moving on to toe tag and to the Accused.
So then we start doing the toe tag thing, and we're playing shows, and he's thinking that we've got this evil plot that we're playing shows the same night that he's doing his thing, and ain't nobody showing up.
And that the neighbors are stealing his electricity.
To his thing, Yeah, so we do the toe tag thing. I think probably
It was a couple of years.
for a couple of years, and then we start contacting places we're playing where it says toe tag featuring ex-members of the Accused, and he starts attacking these people, saying that they can't say that we are
So that's
ex-former members of the Accused.
And
we're
you
like,
can say that. And what was it? Not the Gilman. What was it? One of these fucking underground places in
The
California. The Hazmat, which is like doesn't even have their address because they're not supposed to fucking be there. And he's sending these guys a letter about how there's money involved. We don't want to get lawyers. And these guys are sitting there and it's basically a squad. Money and lawyer. No, they sent us a copy. What the fuck is this all about? And you're like,
yeah. So
before we move to toe tag and Accused AD, that was my question. At what point in time? And first of all, I believe you've gone out of your way with the Accused AD to separate not only the name, but you also say former members of the Accused.
Well, because not only are
But at what point did he object to you guys using
From the get.
Accused AD?
from the get.
well, because at that
From the get.
when we decided to do the Accused AD thing, it was right at the 30th anniversary of the More Fun record. So we had learned the More Fun record
In its entirety.
from the first song all the way through. Well, it just so happened at that same point in time that Destiny Magazine did a feature on the More Fun record. Lamb of God, Covers Inherit the Earth, and there's all this other stuff that just happened at that same point in time.
And the other things weren't the reason why we did it. We started doing it and then
Already, so we'd already gone out and done an East Coast tour as the Accused AD, playing the More Fun record as well as a toe tag set. Then when we come back, and then all this other stuff is starting to happen, and we're visible, so we're being approached.
major or big bands are contacting us about playing on their bills.
Yeah.
Dudes, come out and fucking play with us.
Yeah, so and we'd already done before the Accused AD. We were playing the Accused songs under the
Toe
name
tag.
Martha's
Martha's Revenge.
Martha's Revenge. And we're being asked. We don't have a manager. This is people. They ask us to do this stuff, and we say yes.
Yeah, you're thrilled to be
Right.
asked.
Do you want to play with Guar and Napalm Death and Municipal Waste and Show
And
Box
they put us,
Soda?
and that's a touring.
You
That's
want to play with Lamb of God?
Yes,
yes, yes. This
And
is
they
why
put
we
us-
do this.
And they put us in the middle of the set.
Yeah.
That's killer. That's
You want to play with Municipal Waste at the Showbox or at the Bossa Nova, the ballroom?
2 nights up.
Yeah, of course we do. And so that's when he starts. Then he starts.
He showed up at the fucking at the Lamb of God show. And
Oh, he showed up.
him and Looney were trying to get into the club. I didn't
And
know if they made
Josh.
it in or not. I didn't see. I just saw him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who.
Yeah,
It's recycling a lot of cans to get enough gas and money to do
Yeah,
this.
so I was approached by one of the other guys at my place, and he said, well, you know what, if you let Tom come up and play with you guys for on Inherit the Earth at that show, all this will be over. It's like, all of what? So we didn't start.
Did he play with you? No.
No. And we did not start any feud or anything with Tom. He came. He
takes issue with what we do.
He had our Facebook page removed. Which at that point in time was very detrimental because you're communicating with people.
Yeah, that's how you promote.
And so now all of that's gone. So there's no way to retrieve.
We don't have a public presence.
To retrieve those communications. Guy that we work with by the name of Dave Jimenez, who does a lot of video work with us for the past number of years. He had his shit removed from YouTube. We've gone out and played shows, and he's contacted these venues and threatened these guys with legal action. And
When we went to Texas, what those venue owners say?
Yeah, well, there was then there's that Texas, Los Angeles. Other people that have had to deal with, over the years that we've done toe tag, we've worked with these other promoters and other clubs and have had to, deal with them, that have worked with that entity, and
They want to make sure that we're not the same.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, you guys are totally fine.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, so he's contacting, and it's like the way the band thing is right now. I mean, for us to be called the Accused idiot, there are so fucking many bands out there that are doing the exact same thing.
Oh yeah, there's many versions.
That's just how it goes, and there ain't no money in what we do. I mean, it's a fucking break even thing. We get money in.
It's not even a break even, actually.
Right.
No. Then we play some local shows and scrape together our $40, $70, $80 a night.
Yeah.
And it all goes into the kitty to pay off the gas and the hotels that we went
And
to.
the Ubers and having fun because we want to go
And you just want to keep doing it.
and we want to go somewhere and have fun. Yeah.
Me too.
Okay. Machete Killer, 7-inch. Tell us about it.
Which
Juan Corona, the Machete Killer. He was a guy that was killing migrant farm workers, and I think he killed 25 of them over the course of just a week or so. And he would actually have them dig their own graves. He'd take them out there and he'd fuck them, and then he'd kill them and he'd bury them. That's what that song. And then we
what's
covered
that song worthy about that?
Yeah, and then we covered Junior Vice by Black Sabbath on the B side of that.
I actually haven't heard that. I would love to.
It's funny that a lot of people didn't know that was a Black Sabbath cover. Like, what in the fuck is that?
Well, I would love to hear. I have not heard that one. Okay, so now you had a self-titled 7-inch record, but it was released only in the UK, if I'm correct.
Yes, yeah.
Tell us about that one.
That ended up kind of being a weird one where the guy he put it out. We got a couple of copies, and then that was it. I never heard from the guy again.
Yeah, I have never been able to get that in my collection.
Yeah, and that was on Rat Patrol Records over there. And I don't even. I mean, that's kind of like back in the MySpace days.
Back in MySpace.
Right. So yeah, I don't even remember the guy's name that did that.
Okay. And then you did something that Pig Records, fortunately, was a participant in, the Potbelly Toe Tag Split Picture disc, 7-inch again.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm correct, we did 500 of those, right?
I think so.
500, and they are all gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was a number of years ago. Yeah, we did that. That was a good one.
Okay. You also self-released Hide the Knife 10-inch.
Hide the Knives 10-inch. Yep, we did that on our own. Hide the Knives was a
song about a friend of ours who had 2 children that had went awry, and one of them came back and was he wasn't right and became concerned to our friend. You'd find him pacing in the kitchen talking to himself, and he literally had to take anything sharp out of the fucking kitchen and hide it because it became the kind of
But the interesting thing about the Machete Killer single, that was recorded by Chris Hanzig.
Chris Hanzig, CZ, right? What was it?
No,
Hanzig Audio.
Hanzig Audio, and he actually, when Chris Hanzig first moved to Seattle, he did recorded the Martha Splatterhead EP. He had not really a warehouse space, just kind of like some office space in an empty building down in the inner urban area of Seattle, kind of there by the golf course. Yeah,
Chris Hanzik is a Seattle producing and engineering legend.
Yeah, so it just kind of ended up. He had a mobile studio, so he brought it to the house and we recorded the songs down in the jam room.
And we're going to touch on Martha Splatterhead at the end here, but okay. So Here She Comes CD. I actually bought that at Zippy's.
Oh yeah, that was
yes, it was on the counter, and I think he only charged $5.
$5, yeah.
And so elaborate.
There we go. EP, it's good. It's got a bunch of rockers on it. $5 will make you $1 off the top after it's all said and done.
It's lucky.
Yeah, it's better than it costing you $1. So
Yeah. I think that was the last thing that we did.
Nelson, was that with Nelson?
Yeah, that was the last. Or did Nelson do the
Steve Nelson.
Yeah.
Okay, now Throat the Scope, was that
Throat the Scope.
Was that the one-sided?
One-sided 12-inch.
Explain to people why it's one-sided.
Because our drummer at that point in time, the diabolical Diamond, Chris Diamond C, was a little bit too intoxicated when we did the recording session. So we were only able to record. Those are the only songs that we were able to record during that session. Yeah. So we did the one-sided 12-inch, and the other side was etched because the guy that we had master it, his name is Dave Eck from Lucky
Lacquers.
Yep. He had just gotten the ability to do the etching, so he threw in the etching for free.
Now, Toe Tag was also on a number of compilations, including Pig Records, Shut the Fuck Up and Listen, Volume 6. You guys actually opened that one up. Tell us about some of the other comps.
You got them there. I'll send them over to you. A whole bunch of I don't know, half a dozen 7-inch comps we were on. Bunch of
full EP comps. Yeah. And anybody that would approach us would want anything we throw material.
Yeah.
It's not like we need contracts. You got to give us X amount of money, X amount of product. It's like you really miss the whole deal. If somebody approaches you and wants to do something with you or put something out, it's like when you start getting into this. I'm going to need more than that, or I'm going to need this. It's like, well, hide all of your talents under a basket. Just fucking, you got them all. There they are. Or you can fucking get them out. It's not necessarily a matter of money. It's like, is this shit so important you need to just clutch it to your chest? Or do you want people to fucking hear what it is?
You want people to hear it, period. A man, a woman. You want people to hear it, to see it. You know, money's great, but ultimately, if you really love what you're doing, you want people to enjoy it.
If you have a bunch of people that tell you some crap that you wrote in the basement when you're fucking 10 beers deep and smoking dope and you come up with this fucking material that's great, somebody's like, man, that is odd. What's $1 amount for that? Is it $17? Is it $5,000? Are you a big asshole? Is it $2 million? I mean, it's not. It's a. I guess. To retract from that. What do you want out of it? Do you want your shit out there? Do you want to be prolific? Do you want to put out a bunch of stuff, which I do.
Yeah, you can't put a price on life experience.
No, I want an asterisk after my name, and then all of the shit that I did. It's like,
Then you want to leave something behind when you die.
What? A $sign after your name? What kind of a cocksucker is that? But if you have what if you have like this discography after you're fucking gone that's just like extensive? And what if maybe some molecule, some of that shit inspired somebody else to go off and do the same thing or go off and do it? It's like that's
well, like I said, you guys are both very historical, not just the Seattle scene. The really nice vinyl. I want to show the vinyl on this. I have a couple different versions, but okay. So you guys put out some other stuff or just this?
Just that. Well, there's that. That's like the master version, and that was mastered by Scott Cole from Pig Destroyer, agoraphobic nosebleed. So he mastered that.
I didn't realize.
Yeah. So we also We also put out an unmastered version just on cassette.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. How many copies was the cassette?
He does 100.
100.
Yeah, and then he also did.
He's done some other cassettes for you too, right?
He's doing the Hippie's Last Stand.
Okay,
Which is like the last live show. It was Steve before he passed away.
Let's talk a bit about Steve. So Steve was sort of a friend of mine, not as good as you guys are very close with him. So
many years.
The cassette is essentially a tribute to him, or
Yeah, right. It's the last live show that we did with him.
this gentleman he drummed with Poison Idea for quite a while.
Yep. And he played, oh God, he was Machine Ape, The Gift. Him and Jerry did that Gift thing after I left with PI.
Yeah.
Machine Ape. What was that other one?
Ape Machine.
Ape Machine.
He was doing that thing with High on Fire guys.
I don't know what that was called. It was Steve Hanford, Jeff Matz, and Mark Ramone, Blind Mark Ramone, Felchtone, and who the fuck? And him.
Really a wonderful guy. He also would take his time and go into the prisons and help the musicians. Well, he was in prison for a while. I do remember Victor Hayden from Captain Beefheart.
No, that's what he did. No, he didn't go help guys in the prison. He did all that stuff.
Well, he was in prison.
When he was in prison, he put out a country thing.
Oh,
metal thing.
very prolific in
He
jail.
did a new metal thing. I mean, he helped the guys in prison. Yeah.
But after he got out, he did keep in contact
I
and
think
tried to continue to help.
because there was some record label that was wanting to release a bunch of stuff of guys that were in the joint.
Yeah, I recall Victor from the Scare Steak from Captain Beefheart and we were watching TV one night. I think it was America's Most Wanted.
America's Most Wanted.
Yeah, and we're watching it and we're like, that's Steve. That's Steve. And there was a $10,000 reward and we're like, that can't possibly be Steve. Well, it was Steve.
He stepped on enough toes, they would have ratted him out for nothing. He told me that he was sitting he lived at his mom's house, he's sitting at his mom's house, he's watching TV and that came on, he was like,
uh-oh, I'm getting gone. Anyway.
No, wait. He just got his act together and he walked down to the police station.
Oh, he did.
It's just like, you show his picture in Portland, you hear his picture on the West Coast, it's like, it's that meme with DiCaprio holding the beer and his cigarette going, everybody's like, it's him.
Me and Victor had put out his War All the Time album, and we were just scratching our head. That can't be Steve.
We had just,
But it
he
was.
was in Seattle, we had just talked to him just fucking 2 weeks, 3 weeks before.
He was not. He wasn't.
And he never went back after he was released, and he did wonderful programs in prison, took the initiative to. And at the time he went to prison, it's my understanding he had some drug problems.
That's why he went to prison.
Yes. He was
He
mad.
had robbed several pharmacies with a knife, and then,
Yeah, I saw one of the videos of America's Most Wanted.
well, the best part about it is he says, this is anecdotal. So he's sorting through all this shit. He's got this big pile of this shit on his bed. And his mom from Ferris' house, and his mom comes in, she's like, what is all this stuff? He's like, I'm glad you got here. The doctor gave me all of this, and I'm supposed to take this different amount of these all the time. So he goes, well, I want you to keep all of this and just give me. And he wrote her out what he wanted. I need 50 Klonopin and 100 perks, and $200 whatever the fuck it was. And he gave it. So his mom would meter the shit out, and then he'd run out, and then he'd go and get some more. And then I love Steve like a brother. Steve was a very good friend.
And this was all for personal use. He wasn't trying to
selling
sell
shit. No,
he was an addict, and when he came
He
out,
had an insatiable appetite for everything.
Everything. And being a large gentleman, it's kind of ups the dose too.
Yeah.
So.
but when he came out,
He was tense.
life was totally different. And he with Poison Idea, he'd done some amazing stuff. And after he got out of prison, he continued. So
When he first got
tell
out-
us about this cassette. Yeah, tell us when he
When he
first got out.
first came out, it was like when I met him when he was a fucking teenage kid. He was like very virile and handsome and rakish and just like he was totally together and just like so lucid and so together. It's like I forgot I hadn't seen that Steve in so many fucking years. I didn't see that. I mean,
Yeah, he played songs with us, right? You know, shortly after he got out. We did a benefit show for him down in Portland.
Yeah.
So we could get a new
A drum kit. We drove down to play Dante's benefit for him. And he played. And we played songs that we hadn't. I mean, he knew what they were, but we didn't practice. We went up there in a fucking room full of people and played them.
So we did the cassette. So we did. So after we parted ways with Mickey Widmer, which had actually he had put in his notice, and I mean it was to the point where we weren't going to be able to play music with the guy anymore. So we did one last show with him, and it was very
uncomfortable.
Then you got the greatest drummer.
It was very uncomfortable. So we at that point in time we had two offers. Our first offer was to do a West Coast tour with I Hate God, Sheer Terror, Final Conflict.
Wow.
Negative approach. Which fucking Negative Approach was outstanding and killed it every night.
Yeah, that's singer.
Brutal. And Henry, they're fucking good.
So that was the first offer that we got. Then we were offered a European tour with the Municipal Waste, and which there was enough money in it where, you know, your daily expenses were covered, and that was it. There wasn't, you know, our airfare wasn't going to be covered or anything, but. So we had to bow out on doing the municipal waste thing
because with my job, it just taken up a great deal amount of time that year because we played so much.
Yeah, so we had to bail out on that, and Mickey was very he was very unhappy that we weren't going to be able to do the European tour. But you know, we had to go with the one we'd already agreed to do. We couldn't do both. So we had already agreed to do the I Hate God thing. Then we did the last show with Mickey. It's like, obviously, no, we can't function with you anymore. So we called up Hanford, and you know, we probably.
I said, Hanford, how come you didn't tell me X, Y, and Z? He said, I thought you knew that. I'm like, you motherfucker, you knew what this guy was about.
Yeah. So I think our bass player Steve McVeigh, you know, drove down to Portland.
Oh, Steve McVeigh, great bass player. Unbelievable.
Drove down to Portland, you know, picked up Steve and his drums, and you know, we came back and we learned. We learned the set, and we did the. We did a couple of things. We did that like 10 shows on the West Coast with the I Hate God deal. Yeah, which was a really good time. We kind of got shafted on the order of playing, but you know, in the long run, that kind of worked out better because
you're done quicker.
You're done quicker. It leaves you a little bit more time
for leisure,
a little bit more time for leisure activities, and then that was over. We came back and we did the last show with them was at the Plaid Pig in Tacoma.
Great place.
So we played with the band Acid Teeth and
Acid Teeth, a good band.
Coffin Break as well.
Another great band. I believe they're back.
They were.
They were. They're coming. Yeah.
They were for a minute, and then the whole then the COVID thing hit, and my wife was working. She had to work from home, so we did. You know, I couldn't have Steve. Kept different hours that weren't really conducive to somebody that was working at home. So he never
came back up.
He never came back up.
It's just that initial the chaos of when the lockdown started, and that's kind of when there was like, well, we're not focused so much on all of that right now. There's all this other shit going on, and then he died.
And we were still playing.
It was a shock. It was nobody knew it was coming. A lot of us know when someone's going to die or on their way out, but nobody had any idea.
Yeah,
I'm always wrong.
So tell us about the music on this cassette.
It's a set of Accüsed songs.
Yeah.
Okay. And
us playing Accüsed live with them.
Now, this is also coming out on vinyl?
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe.
Right now it's just cassette.
Just
this guy.
This guy 100 copy limited, or this
100 copies. That's all he does. Okay. So yeah, the guy Dread Records, and you know, if you look at his thing, he does like tons of cassettes. He does 100, and that's what he does. And I know people are squawking they didn't get a copy or blah blah blah. So,
well, it's a cassette. It's a collectible piece.
Yeah, that's what he does.
And if you want one, boot one off somebody.
Yeah, he does 100, and that's his shtick. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Accüsed AD have lots of videos. Some produced by some local celebrities. Let's talk about the videos. These can all be found on YouTube. Just Google Accüsed AD.
Yeah. The first one we did was for the song Fuego Terminado.
Good video.
Which was done by Jason Frost, who I just happened to meet one day at Guitar Center out at South Center / Tukwila. We talked about doing the video, and the next thing you know, he's like,
let's go.
Well, he's already got all the the
storyboard.
He's got the storyboard, and he's already filmed a bunch of the footage, and he's very ambitious and wants to go do stuff on location, and we're not really all that quite ambitious, so we did the live stuff along the side of the house and some woods there.
And you worked with Regan Hagar?
We did one.
Regan Hagar's from Malfunction.
Regan Hagar played drums and Maggot Brains for sure.
I didn't know he played in Maggot Brains as well.
Yeah. So he actually approached him to do one. I think took him about a year by the time he finally got around to doing it. But
it was worth the wait.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, he's involved in that the revitalization of Loose Groove Records. So.
He's very good guy.
Very active behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And he's got his band. They play out.
Oh yeah, The Deception is the name of the band that he does.
Deception. I've not seen them yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of playing out, you guys haven't played out in a long time, but you have a show coming up at Tony B's.
Tony B's, yeah, here just a
few months
of
ago.
June. Yeah.
Is that the first time live? I know you've done lots of podcasts.
Yeah, that'll be the first one live. Yeah, we're actually playing with Brain Cell Genocide, which is
I have their CD downstairs,
which is actually just basically
and the Hate Your Friends video.
And Jason Frost did the Hate Your Friends video.
They're good video.
And he did A Terrible Tale video as well.
That's fucking hilarious.
That we did, filmed live stuff in our backyard in front of the green screen, and then we dug up the skeleton there on the side of the house.
Freeway with a skeleton.
Yeah, I made some styrofoam tombstones, and I dug the grave a couple of days earlier and refilled it, so it's easy for us. And
knowing you and your love of art and theatrics, there's more videos coming.
Oh yeah.
Oh, always. Yeah, there's always stuff to do. Yeah.
Okay, Alex, so I've been a fan of Blaine's since '84. The vocalist I loved, and I think he's influenced a massive side of horror punk. A lot of these cookie cutter metal guys, borrowed from Blaine. But Blaine to me was always, a very original, unique punk rock singer. Today, there's lots like him, but there wasn't back then. However, Blaine's live performance, and I don't know if this is why they call you the Wizard, but the man
would manipulate Hoffman, and then Hoffman would come.
Well, he jumps around like a 16-year-old on a trampoline, but he's got no trampoline, and
he's not 16.
Well, and he was doing this at a very young age, but he's still doing this.
That's a shtick. He doesn't do it like when he's in his house by himself doing stuff. He just only does it when we're playing. So whatever you want to make out.
Well, yeah, explain to the audience that hasn't seen him. I mean, and I don't know your age, and I'm not going to ask, but he's still doing it.
He's older than me.
Closer to 60 than 50.
Okay, and he's still jumping around. Is that why they call you the Wizard, or how do you get that name?
If they don't know, it'd be better for them to see it than try to explain.
Yes, watch some of the live footage. It's
the one where he kicks a guy in the head. Kicks that guy in the front row. He doesn't jump, and it's not on purpose. It's very obviously inadvertent, but he just takes this guy out. Just drops him. It looks like a stand-up target because it's a silhouette of the guy. Blaine immediately goes to render some sort of first aid, or he's kissing him. I'm not sure which it was.
But you have to keep yourself in tremendous physical shape to do this.
If I could lose 20 pounds, I'd be.
But stop eating so many hamburgers.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to this, because this is really your pride and joy.
Last thing came out on Black
Let's
House.
talk about some of the music on here. Before we get to the music, let's talk about the cover art.
Yeah, look at that. That was done by Casey, Chris Angel. He also did the cover for the cassette. So we did the cassette. We did the cassette version, which is kind of similar, but a little bit more cartoony. And then he This
to me is frightening.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was the intent, but it's
well,
right.
of course, he's a frightening individual.
Excellent artist.
So with the music on here, tell us about the music.
It's in there are
E
these
minor.
these little grooves on the record, and they.
I mean, a lot of it's just. I mean, a lot of it's just like it's a toe tag. I mean, it's just
toe tag
It's a
shit.
fucking band.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's only
You can change it.
a couple of the songs I think here that were newer that we did that we recorded. You know, with because we recorded this with Mickey. And the thing with when we recorded this with Mickey, he was very concerned. You know, Jack and Dino was going to get everything right. I had to
There's no concern.
I had to
Jack and Dino needs no instructions. When you work with Jack, you listen to Jack because he is the best.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, he's not really going to say that much. And if he does, if he's going to bother to say something,
You listen.
It might behoove you to listen.
Yeah.
You might
Yes.
know what he's doing. And dude was just questioning.
Jack is
He's
most.
so like, he's very, very neurotic. It's not. And so like my reference to not playing anything the same twice. So we're in the studio trying to record, and he's blowing drum tracks because he's trying to play it different to fit in there. It's like, well, don't you have a piece that you've already made that fits the fuck in here? And so a lot of it was kind of done on the fly. And as I said, if it works and you nail it, that's fine. If it's a problem, it's not fine. You don't know a lot of people that are. That's a pretty. I mean, not everybody's Dave Lombardo. Just shit magic like that. You know, you might have to play it once or twice as opposed to try to write it in the studio, which we don't do that. We go in there fucking
Prepared. Yeah,
done.
of course. It's expensive. You should be prepared. You should be
When you get better. I mean, we've never been in a position to camp out in the studio and write in the studio. That's so foreign.
No, I remember Queensryche told me they had a $380,000 budget.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, well, shit, we can make 380,000 records with that. You know, it's,
And you got to pay all that back.
yeah. Yes, you do.
There's that.
Okay, now you had an accompanying piece to this, an amazing graphic novel,
Yeah.
which I have a feeling was this Blaine's idea?
It's all of our.
All of your ideas?
I take credit for everything.
Okay,
We're-
but now
it's
you
like
have-
the collective we.
You've always been into comics and dark arts and
And we've done it before, and we know it's a shoe-in, it's killer,
Yeah.
and we know the people that like this shit would be totally stoked to get it. If you like
oh,
it.
I loved it. And
Here's
and
a big splattering album and a fucking comic book full of that shit.
graphic novel, not a comic book, a full-on graphic
It turned
novel.
out it turned out as a graphic novel because there was a little misunderstanding about what constituted a page when we put it together. So that's why it ended up being that big.
Twice as big.
Yeah.
Now there was a story in there by was it Terry Yerkrat or
Chad Litsky.
and Chad Litsky?
Chad Litsky did one of the story. I think it was a punk rock reanimator. Did a little short story in there.
It was amazing,
Yeah, Terry Yerkrat. I mean,
and some of the art in there was amazing as well.
everybody that contributed a piece of art,
Got it in.
it got in there.
I couldn't recommend it more. Like Blaine, I've always been into comics and graphic arts and graphic novels, and I'm not into superheroes. I'm into more along this line. All right, so
Yeah, people were excited to be, get to be part of something.
what's next up for Accused AD?
Oh, we just recorded a record.
That's the one with Jack. Okay,
Yeah.
that's you said 7 songs.
7 songs, maybe 6. Maybe we'll take the one of them and use it as a seed. Start. We have some. We'll start working on another one right now.
Okay, and do you know what's happening with these 7 songs yet, or you just?
I don't know.
finished up?
I guess we haven't argued about whether we're going to release it as toe tag or the Accused AD. So
Okay, and sometimes you guys like to self-release, and sometimes not. So we'll wait to see what happens. All right, so as you guys are aware, we have Tommy Niedermeyer and Josh coming in later today.
Niemeyer.
I like to call him Niedermeyer.
A lot of people would.
Yeah.
I remember when he get mad when you call him Tommy. He didn't like to be called Tommy. He was Tom.
Well, I call him Thomas, so no wonder he never got mad at me.
No, that's acceptable too. But Tommy was a little later. He used to get pissed off back in the day. Remember that one?
But isn't that his name on the back of the records?
It is now. I mean,
I thought it always was Tommy Niedermeyer.
No.
Niemeyer. So, you guys have
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised if people call me.
I'm asking the same question, but do you guys have,
He'll show you the list of what he calls them.
do you guys have anything to say, Tommy?
I
that's
wish him no ill either.
Yeah, I mean, and that's anything that we say about it. I mean, it may come across as being derogatory, but I mean, it's all.
No, it's just that you guys want to continue.
It's anything that we say, it's all real and it's factual. That was the environment that we were working in, and in this day and age, they call that a toxic environment, you know, and that's what happened, you know, and that's, you know, it's unfortunate that we don't, or we won't, you know. I mean, I'll never say totally never, but I mean.
But it's unfortunate that somebody that you've known that long and have that long of a fucking colorful history with, that things are shit like that. And especially when you reach a certain age, you're not making 30, 40, 50-year-old friends. You're making acquaintances, people that you can go back to, like, as you've changed as a person. Your trajectory flattens out when you get older. You are who you are after a certain point. And we went through that whole ordeal. I've said many times, Tom should be here with us when we're doing this, haven't I?
Yeah.
And everybody in the world has asked you guys if there's ever going to be a reunion. I'm pretty much accepted the fact the answer is no, so I'm not going to ask that question.
No. I mean, he could have come clean back when all of this was happening, because we're all pretty aware of
What's real?
what the contributing factor is for a lot of what's going on back then, and you know that's, you know, we're aware of that. And,
Anything you'd like to say to your
And
friends?
generously not traversing a certain territory.
Yeah, no, just go to them. So we about a year ago, we paid to have all of those VHS tapes that we had digitized.
Cool.
And those are now on we have a website called the AccüsedArchives.com, and that's got about 30 different, 25 or 30 different live shows on there, kind of showcasing the history of the band.
Lots of US, lots of European stuff.
Yeah, and we still have splatterrock.com. We purchased that web domain that was vacant, not being used. We got that a couple of years ago. You can get sell a couple of things on there. The Toe Tag Facebook page. There's an Accused fan page. They're on Facebook. You can get on. It's a drama-free zone. Just get on there and share your memories or whatever you have. And
And I myself gone there quite a bit, and I noticed no ill will towards Tommy there.
No, that's not the point of it.
yeah, it's not allowed.
I've noticed that you guys have been very good about that, and you've also been very good. You're not trying to call yourselves the accused. You distinguish where the accused AD.
That's another level of honesty.
Yeah, so
I wasn't the guitar player in the Accused. I don't claim to. I did we had a sub when we were at GBH. The bass player for GBH broke his elbow in California, so I had to play for them until we got down to Florida.
well, congratulations.
And then when we got to Florida, we're in Miami, and we had 2 days off, and they had a show back at Fender's Ballroom in LA. And by the time we were in Miami, I wasn't really playing with them. Maybe every couple of nights, you'd be like, "Oh, let's go play it." So I wasn't playing consistently with them, just but because I was earlier, they bought me a ticket to go to that show, and I played that show with them in LA. But so then my fellows in the Accused drove up to Atlanta, and that's where the GBH Accused picked back up. There's this day off, and they went to the show, and I went with them. When I came back, got to Atlanta, Niemeyer was in bed, and he was sweating and fucking bright red and freezing and all. We had to send him home. He was really sick. So then we sent him home. So then
You played guitar.
I played guitar, and the bass player for GBH and the guitar player for GBH would switch playing bass for the Accused. So we got all up the East Coast till we got to DC.
That's cooperation, and accidents do happen when you're on tour.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Maximizing your hustle.
Yeah, totally. And
Well, I think it's quite an honor to play bass in GBH for a while.
Yeah, no, that's
we got to play with GBH a couple of times.
Great, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And they're just the same.
Oh, dude, they are no different.
They're just the same.
And they're the fucking coolest guy. They're the most unaffected, mild, cool dudes.
And that's another band that's continued putting out records.
They never stop. And that's what Colin said. He goes,
The records continue to be good.
and once they got, and the drummer they got now, he's just the fucking lifeblood for those guys. It's awesome. I remember they had the guy after Kai, and then they got this dude now. Was this guy in AF or was the other guy in AF? I think the other guy from AF. I kind of lost track of that, but no, dude, that guy, yeah, the other kick-ass, it's great. I'm really glad those guys, they've got, they're, you know, some of those bands ended up with like a really, well, besides it's fucking good and it's really true to what it is, they have that brand name where it's just, that's just so good. That's just, and I'm not saying exploit it, but it gives them a position to use that. That's excellent. I mean, why would you not? You know, it's the whole point of it is to get yourself known to the point where, you know, people like you, people, it's like, oh, so-and-so, you know what it is, that recognition. It's fucking great, you know?
All right. So Blaine.
Yes.
The Return of Martha Splatterhead, which I'm proud to be the original person to put it out. The only thing I got out of it was the cover.
Yeah.
You probably remember that. So, okay. It's considered to be one of the 25 greatest thrash albums of all time. That's amazing. You know? And one of the first thrash albums of all time. So just an amazing accomplishment. That's where the views begin for me. And sadly, the views begin for me. Because of everything we discussed today. To me, it was one of the greatest bands. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Sabo! Boys and girls, Blaine Cook!